right, and go ahead. Okay,
Hello.
hello. All right, and today, guys, we're gonna be doing a tier list in, based on Destiny, and we're gonna be doing all the seasons and all the DLCs. All right, so let's get started. Destiny 1, Vanilla. Oh,
All right. Okay. So I will say this. So what I like about Vanilla Destiny is when you start the game, there's a very grandiose sense of like mystery, right? Like you're
yeah.
fresh out of the grave, and that resonates with a lot of people, I'd imagine. However, I do think there are some things that hold the story back, and I'm pretty sure if you look hard enough, a lot of people will probably know what that is. But with that being said, I do think there's a lot that Vanilla Destiny has to offer, like besides the narrative side of things. Um, for me, I think giving it like a B ranking for now is actually pretty fair.
Honestly, I agree with B mostly because it's the very beginning, so you really can't fault that. But yeah, like I agree. The narrative standpoint, it it wasn't really that good for me personally, but I did hear that they had to rewrite everything, like the whole campaign. So this wasn't even like originally the like original plan. But but yeah, like the loot and all that for like vanilla, it was okay. It was like Destiny at its start was like a mystery because you didn't know how many exotics there were and all that. So like if you saw someone with a Galahorn, you'd be like, "Whoa, that's really cool. How do I get it?" So yeah, overall for me personally, I'm going with B too.
All right, cool.
All right, next
All
up,
right.
the Dark Below. Oh
Okay. This one's going to be a bit more interesting. So the thing about the Dark Below is I think it has somewhat similar issues to like the vanilla story in some aspects,
yeah, yeah.
but I think it makes up for it by managing to expand more about the hive. And I think for the way I see Dark Below, and also just Chrono's End in general, is that it's a good like little precursor to like what it's kind of like what G mentioned before, where they had this original vision with Destiny,
Yeah,
where the idea was they wanted to like do Crota and like Oryx and kind of just go down the list, right?
yeah.
And there was basically like one big raid. So I think in terms of like being a precursor to the Taken King, I think it did fine. Um, I think I think honestly, I would also put it like in B, but I would put it like below Vanilla Destiny, probably.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Here's what I think of it. I actually think it's kind of a C tier, and here's why. Because the story was very short. The raid itself, which I know we didn't mention for the vaulted glass, but um, but yeah, Coda's end, it was easy, like very easy. Like you could, it's preferred to solo over actually doing it with 6 players. The loot was, it was good. Out like obviously you have like the black hammer, but yeah, for me personally, I think it's a C tier, but I'm willing to go B. Boop.
Yeah. So the reason why I was thinking it was like somewhere in the B tier is because is mainly just because I think there's just like worst options in the greater scheme of things.
Oh yeah. We're definitely gonna get to those seasons
Yeah, yeah,
later.
we're gonna get to that. Now this one, ooh, House of
Mm.
Wolves.
Yeah, House of.
Um,
I like the idea of it. Oh, sorry, but yeah, I like the idea of it. Like I like the idea of like I'm pretty sure what was it like a rogue like fallen faction I think if I'm
yeah,
not mistaken. I like the idea of that, the Prison of Elders, one of the funnest modes for me personally. even even though it was like, oh yeah, go in this room, kill boss, do maybe objective, go on to the next one. But I don't know, that was just fun to me. And obviously it was Destiny 1. So, that was like made like it made sense. It was kind of that simple compared to what we have now. But if we're talking about from a story standpoint, once again, I'm probably gonna put it at C or B. But if we're talking about like Prison of Elders and all that, I'm going A tier.
Personally, I think what we could do is put it in B tier, but put it above Vanilla Destiny. Because I actually agree with you. Because like the story wasn't great, but Prison of Elders, I think, more than made up for that, especially for a lot of people. So like I think it doesn't really deserve anything higher in comparison to like a lot of the other great or good seasons and expansions of Destiny. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think it definitely is deserving of like at least like around a B tier. So yeah, I agree.
you see, and then I'm pretty sure this is also where we got Tanix, I believe, right? The whole like Tanix meme
Right.
of him keep on coming back from the grave 15,000 different times. Okay,
Oh, good. God.
do we need to even talk about this?
Yeah, we don't really need to. Just put it where we all think it is
Uh,
going to be. Yeah.
yeah, like okay, okay. I think we have to talk about it a little bit. The Taken King
Okay.
literally revived Destiny. Like it brought it back from the dead essentially. Because I remember during before the Taken King, people were getting kind of a little bit bored of it and all that. The Taken King revived that, added new supers, the best raid in my opinion. Well, one of the best raids, but Destroy amazing. Let's see, the Dreadnought amazing
Yeah.
destination. I actually wish it will come back. I honestly think this is what a DLC should be. But I do think there's maybe one, two more DLCs though, which we'll talk about later, that deserves the same conversation. Like I said, we'll talk about that later.
Right.
Rise of Iron. Oh, I.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh wait, no, you can go. My
uh,
bad.
yeah, like okay. I personally really like Rise of Iron. I love the story of Siva. I wish they'll bring it back. See, I love the fact that we got like pretty much a backstory of oh my god, why am I drawing the blank? Lord Saladin. No, yeah, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name, but yeah, like what the machine, amazing raid, amazing loot, and the raid exotic, a big prime, literally my favorite exotic of all time. So I'm probably gonna be a little biased there. For me personally, I would put it at A tier personally. AOS.
Yeah. So the thing about the tier here, like for A or S, is it really just depends on like what we want to define A or S as. So like I think S tier should be primarily for like the expansions that like basically revitalized the game, like revived it in some aspects.
Yeah,
And I think we already know like two that fit that bill.
yeah,
Hit one of them is on there. But
yeah,
yeah, I think A expansions should be for the expansions that are like extremely awesome. Like they could basically stand on their own
yeah,
as Titans. But the reason why S tier exists, for me at least, is because they are for the expansions that basically revived the game in some ways.
yeah. I agree.
So, so with that being said, the thing about Rise of Iron is I need to remember about this, but like I'm pretty sure the sentiment for Destiny, like around that time period, was kind of at a bit of a meh, and that was just because during that time period there wasn't really a lot of content.
let's see,
and it
like,
was mainly because the only content that was there was like the April update or something like that, right?
yeah, which was a
So
very fun update.
right, and it was a very good update. But yeah, so because of that, I'm wondering like if it's safe to say that Rise of Iron like revived Destiny during that time period, but honestly, I'm gonna say no. And that's just because I think it's really just about the context and the circumstances. Like Taken King and a certain other expansion we'll get to like relatively soon actually. They both basically like revived the game during like what is will probably be like a game killing status. So I'm gonna excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead and say that like it's definitely like it should be at least like A tier. So I think A tier is like a good spot because it's an amazing expansion on its own, but I wouldn't say that it has the same special iconic value that some of the other expansions have. And that's nothing really to do with the quality of the expansion. It's really just the circumstances that were present during those times. Really. So yeah, that's my final placement.
But anyway,
Oh,
yeah, I don't know what I cut out, um, but I don't know if you heard me. But yeah, Wands of Iron wasn't actually supposed to be a thing. Uh,
oh yeah, I remember that.
since like Destiny 2 was delayed, they had to come up with a DLC, so they had to make Wands of Iron. And honestly, like I said, they did a really good job though. I'll admit that. They can definitely hold its own. I'm fine with that. Okay. Okay, now we're finally on to Destiny 2.
Oh boy, here we go.
Vanilla Destiny. Oh boy.
Okay. Uh, should I share my thoughts
Yeah,
first or?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's the thing about Vanilla Destiny 2. Um, this and the follow-up expansions afterwards, but we're gonna get to those when we get to those.
Yeah,
So this is just year one of Destiny 2. And I think a lot of people will agree that this was a very mid time to play Destiny. Now, with that being said, I will play a little bit of Devil's Advocate. That'll at least justify to put it to a C tier. For this at least. So while I do think I have some issues with the story for Destiny 2, like vanilla, regarding like the Red War and all that, what I do like about the Red War is mainly certain aspects of the narrative surrounding Gaul. Now, some people may disagree with me about this, but I find Gaul to be an interesting antagonist, and I'm actually kind of upset that we don't explore more of him because he posed a very interesting perspective regarding the Guardians that was kind of expanded upon through like the little cutscenes he was given, but I felt like he could have gotten more fleshed out about him. Now, granted, I think it was during like Seasons of the Haunted that those prayers of mine were kind of answered to some extent
yeah,
because we got like a little extra information due to the Nightmare Dawn Skull, but we're not there yet, so it's whatever. But yeah. So like for me, I think it's C tier because I still think it's pretty mid, but I do think there are at least some redeeming qualities about it that can place it above certain others.
yeah,
And because of that, I think C tier is a pretty fair option. And also, the Leviathan raid was out, and I will say I think Leviathan raid is also not kind of like the most like, not really like a necessarily the best raid, obviously. I mean, it was a pretty unique raid back in the day, considering that it was like the only Cabal raid. I'm not so sure if that has any particular value, but I think that's interesting to note at the very least.
yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah, I think C is like a very solid placement.
yeah,
Just like very mid, but at the same time, it has some redeeming qualities if you look hard enough. So like, yeah, there you go. You should be good.
okay. But anyway, yeah. Like I love the idea of the Guardians losing their light. I kind of wish they explored that a little bit more. rather than losing the light. Then 2 missions later, oh, we got it back. I didn't like that. Now I like I like the idea that we had to go to each different planets and find Zavala, Ikora, and Cade, and then all coming together, to take back the Traveler. But the whole like beginning part, I did not like. I really wish we should have went a lot longer without our light. Now I know that might cause some issues, but that's just what I personally think. Let's see, and for the Leviathan raid, I love the whole like aesthetic of it, because it felt royalty and all that. The weapons were good at the time, but speaking of weapons, I'm pretty sure one thing we can all agree was not good was the static rolls on weapons. Just like gain one weapon and being the exact same. No, that was not it for me. I always preferred random rolls over anything else. So, yeah, for me personally, I'm going in C tier 2. It could definitely be a lot better, but I hate to say this. I'm pretty sure we both know it's not going to be better. The
Well,
cut,
at least, yeah, I think we both agree on that at least.
yeah, this. I think we have to talk
Oh
about it.
my god.
I think we have to talk about it.
Oh man, I don't. Listen, here's what I'm gonna talk about. I'm just gonna say 2 tokens and a blue, and I'm done.
Yeah, let's just say that Destiny was nearly dead during this expansion. Because I remember hearing that there were so little players that they were like I think 6 weeks off of turning off the servers because of how bad the state was, and because of Osiris did not help at all. I will agree with that. So yeah, I think that's a nice spot, and the raid was not good either. The whole like
Yeah.
either worlds. Now, like if we're talking about August, he was a fun boss, but everything before that, I mean, them making a literal ad clear as a encounter. Who thought that was a good idea? But yeah, I'm pretty sure we just both know where that goes. We're just gonna move on to my opinion, the far superior one, Warmind.
I think this. Oh wait, sorry, what?
I was about to say I personally liked Warmind, and here's why. I liked Ethan. I actually think he's always such a creative character and all that. So I'm happy that this was. I'm pretty sure was this the first time that we ever like had a whole like DLC around him.
Yes, this is the first time, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And the fact that we got Anna Bray, who I'm pretty sure we heard about before, and we can actually see like putting a face on the character. And the whole like thing about killing a hive god. Okay, that was cool, I guess. It could definitely be a lot better. But for me, I'm pretty sure the one thing that I think a lot of players will fondly remember is Escalation Protocol. In my opinion, that's probably one of the best like public event type modes they ever did, and I kind of wish they would bring it back. So
Yeah,
for me,
from what I remember, um, so with my case with Warmind, I think Warmind is kind of in the same ish boat as Dark Below, not necessarily narratively, but like it had a lot more to offer, and it also, and honestly, there's some factors you have to take into consideration as well. Like I think this was when the Whisper mission was introduced, right?
yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. So The Whisper mission was extremely goaded. I think this actually, I think the story was at least like slightly more interesting than like honestly a lot of the expansions. What I'm debating right now is like if it should be C or B. Because if it's B, it's definitely gonna at least be above Dark Below for me at least.
Honestly,
But huh?
honestly, I agree with you. I was thinking B tier, just solely because, like I said, Execution Protocol just really pushes it for me. And also, let's not forget, there were a few really good exotics that came out too. Like you said, Whisper came out. Sleeper Simulator came back. Now, we have Polaris Lance that is now meta. Like there were a lot of good exotics too. So yeah, I'll put it in B. But behind Duck Below or front, I think I have to agree with you once again. I think I have to go in front.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, okay, on to the
Oh,
season.
anyways.
Okay, okay. I know before I said that the Taken King is the gold standard. Forsaken, for me, is like the platinum. Above the gold standard. It was another game. It was another DLC that revived Destiny. So we have to put it in S tier. But even if it didn't, it's still an incredible DLC. Like I'm putting it like that for me personally.
so so here's what I think. Um there's two aspects of Forsaken that I will reference. But they're kind of long. So do you have like any thoughts you want to share before I go my ramble?
Let me just say my opinion first before. So,
I
so first off, Destroy. I'm a fan of darker tone stories. Like, did you ever play Borderlands 3?
I was going to, but I never got around to it.
Oh, okay. And you know how in Borderlands is like all about being like being funny and all that and all the jokes. They have a
Yeah.
DLC in Borderlands 3 that was like in a much like darker tone. That's my favorite. Like I just love the whole like darker theme in video games and all that, and the fact that you know, Aldrin killed Cade, and now we have to pretty much be like Batman and just revenge him. I just love that so much because we literally lost one of the main characters, and to this day, we don't have a Hunter Vanguard still. Even though I think Crow might be it, but that might be a different video. Let's see.
Yeah.
9 new supers. 9. That is astronomical. Yeah, obviously it's for each branch of the light. But it's the fact that they made 9 new supers. And a lot of them are meta now. Well, and Thunder Crash. 2 new planets. 2. Like, they were cooking in the first ever dungeon, and for what many people think is the best raid too. How can you not put this not in S tier? Like it had everything. Alright, and now's your turn.
All right. So is that everything?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what I will say. Gameplay wise and content, it is easily S tier. It has one of the best raids in the entire series in their franchise. It has, like you said, it introduced the first dungeon, which was a revolutionary concept at the time. And on top of that, it actually introduced new supers, new content. It was phenomenal on all fronts. Now, narratively, there are two things I want to address pros and cons wise. Con wise, I do have some gripes with the story in terms of like mainly the cohesion surrounding it. And I think it was mentioned somewhere. I forgot where, but there was someone in the community that actually mentioned that if there was like a mission or like some sort of narrative to lead into like the Uldren Baron story from like Mars in the war, where like he's on Mars and you like go capture him or something like that, that would have actually led into a much better introduction for the expansion as a whole. But that's a whole other story. So all that needs to be known is I do have my gripes, but despite that, what I do like about the narrative is really the context surrounding it. Like, they put it like this: what this story does succeed in doing, like you said, was elaborating on a darker tone that meshes well with what this era of Destiny was supposed to be, which was the era of loss. And this works especially well considering what the follow up expansions would lead into narratively, like Shadowkey, Beyond Light, etc. Forsaken was pretty much like our darkest hour, basically, because it was this and the Red War that was basically a huge reality check for the Guardians to basically tell them, you're not invulnerable, you're not invincible, you can die. And beforehand, in Destiny, that was like an unheard of concept. Because usually we triumph over our foes time and time again. So to actually have an L on this magnitude of a scale was something that was unheard of before in a lot of the expansions. Hell, even in the Red War campaign, I would argue this is an even bigger L because this is less so physical stakes and more so emotional ones. Like this one hit home for a lot of the community. So because of that idea and concept alone, I think it makes the story really good. The execution, though, I think is where some discussion could be had. But other than that, though, I think it's easily an S tier regardless. And that's just because it pushed above and beyond a lot. And I also want to say, before I finish my opinion, that even though I do have an issue with the story surrounding, like, the Barons and Uldren in some aspects, I actually don't have any issues surrounding the Dreaming City storyline. Because I think that was really good. In fact, honestly, this is just my tinfoil hat coming out or whatever. But I think the Dreaming City, like the idea with it in Riven and all that, I think that was what they were really trying to go for with the expansion. And they happened to also want to create a way to bring the community together at the time. Because, this is like one of the few expansions that needed to do that. And I guess it just happens to be that they intertwined the Uldren, Cade, Six, Baron storyline as like part of the campaign to accomplish that. So, in conclusion, gameplay absolutely peak. The story, while I do have some issues, is pretty good in some areas, namely the Dreaming City, and otherwise the concept surrounding it, I think fits extremely well. Like when you look back on it in retrospect, in comparison to like where it fits with the other expansions. So that's pretty much like my full opinion about Forsaken, without like going into me rambling about many details regarding like the actual narrative, I like execution and context and all that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like, and I would like to add, like, I love the fact that, like, that for the raid, for the Last Wish raid, it took 18 hours to complete, and only 2 teams completed it within 24 hours. That to me, I I just love like those like longer raid races rather than what we had for spoiler for later on with the nightmares, because I would rather have
yeah,
nearly a whole day rather than the whole raid's completed in 2 hours. Jeez, But yeah, S tier, nothing. Well, I think will ever beat Forsaken. And I kind of wish I actually kind of want to go back to the Forsaken days because those were, in my opinion, the golden age for me personally. All right. Anyway, now we're on to actual seasons.
Oh, right.
All right, but the Black Armory. Ooh.
Okay. So I think this is easily like A tier, probably. If because I wouldn't say it's obviously revolutionary, but I think what Black Armory did was it managed to stand on its own as a season that was able to like provide content that was engaging and new for the player base. Now, if I remember correctly, was it this season or season of the Drifter that had 0 hour?
I think it was this season. I think.
Yeah, okay. So it has to be this season. So this season, I think, was extremely good in retrospect, like gameplay wise. Narratively, I don't think there was a lot to glean from it, obviously, because it's mainly about introducing like the Black Armory Foundation and how they have intertwined connections with like the Elixni and the conflicts involved in all that. So obviously, there's not much to glean from in terms of like the narrative, but gameplay wise, I think it makes up more for that. And also, especially considering the fact that it had like the Niobe Labs puzzle, it also had the 0 hour mission, like I wanted to ask earlier. I think those two activities in particular easily made this an iconic state season by a lot of people's standards. Now, the question we need to ask ourselves is would it be better than Rise of Iron? In my opinion, no. And this is because Rise of Iron kind of accomplishes some similar aspects. So, like, for example, in order to unlock Outbreak Prime during Rise of Iron, you had to do like a whole puzzle that's pretty secretive as far as I remember. So
Oh.
there were kind of like similar aspects between each other. So it's just one of those cases where like it's not like neither one is necessarily worse or something like that. It's more like what Black Armory does. Rise of Iron kind of just does better in some aspects. But
Yeah.
with that being said, I think it's definitely like a very, very solid A. Like definitely like high up there in the A tier, in my opinion.
Yeah. And let's see. I just looked it up. Outbreak came out in season of Drifter.
Oh,
I
okay.
just looked that up.
Well,
But either way,
well, I mean, uh,
I still think it's an A tier personally because like as like I said, it's the first season. Let's see, because this was before what we currently have. You know, the 4 seasons per year. We had 3 seasons, and it was based on like 3 different stuff. I like the idea of going into like these like ancient quote ancient forges and like making new weapons. I like that. The exotics, really good. You know, you can see Ada holding, you know, one of the best exotics.
oh
Is
my god,
Inagi. Let's see, so yeah, like let's see, and the whole like I forget what it's called. I'm pretty sure it was like the forge activity too. Like that was really challenging at first because you were way under leveled for it. But once you level it up and all that, it was fun. Yeah, like I said, I'll put in A tier, even though Outbreak did not come out this season. It came out next season. But we should mention this was also the year of the pinnacle weapons as well. So I'm pretty sure this season came with Mountaintop.
yeah, that is true.
And Mountaintop to me is one of the like most overpowered weapons. It literally defined the meta until Beyond Light came out, which we'll talk about
Oh
later.
yeah, no, yeah, no, I agree with you. It was like Mountaintop, Recluse, Anarchy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Anarchy that also came out this season, in the whole raid.
Yep,
I
exactly.
yes, yeah. So like the pieces were already there mostly, but now we have to go and talk about the last piece now. Season of Drifter.
Okay,
I'm just gonna play it
so
down.
here's where I think Season of the Drifter should fall. So I think Season of the Drifter gameplay wise was very mid because it only had two aspects from what I remember. It was the Reckoning, which was mainly used to get Gambit Prime armor, and then there was just Gambit Prime, right? So it's mainly like Gambit the season, right?
Yeah,
But there is one thing about it that I think may potentially put it up there in B tier. And that is mainly just the lore and the narrative surrounding the Drifter that made him such a fascinating character. So, and really just how they used his character to explore aspects of the Destiny lore that people are to this day are still dying to learn about. Like I remember, I think it was during Season of the Risen for Witch Queen, where we got like that little cutscene snippet of like Saladin's past during the Dark Ages, and I could be wrong, but I think some people were kind of going feral about that because they want to see more of that. And Season of the Drifter to me is kind of like that same thing, except even more magnified because it's literally Drifter lore. So like
yeah.
it's one of those things where like it's really hard to place because gameplay wise it should be very very mid. But if we're talking about the lore and the character development and the narrative of setting up the Drifter, and it was just so good. Um,
Oh,
it's really hard to say. I would say if it was put like somewhere like at the bottom of B tier or like the top of C tier, that would be perfectly fine with me.
okay. Yeah, I'm thinking CT because, like I said, like I mean, like honestly, when it first came out, everybody loved Gambit. It was this brand new mode, so I can understand where they're coming from with the whole like Gambit themed, but having a whole season dedicated to a game mode that that doesn't like I don't like that personally. Like I mean, yeah, Black Omri, like it also is more like PvE, obviously, but it wasn't focusing on oh yeah, do strikes only. No, in Gambit, you had to like it was mainly like Gambit related, and yeah, and like I said, like I just said earlier, let's not forget this is where the last piece of the meta came in, the Recluse. So, so,
Right.
so because of that, the meta was pretty much set in stone for a year afterwards. And the only way in the only way they could stop it is by sunsetting, which that's
Right.
gonna be an interesting talk later. But I'm thinking C tier personally. I did not enjoy it.
I'd say I think it's a matter of so if we're gonna put in C tier, I think C tier is perfect. I think it's just a matter of do we think it's better than vanilla D2?
For me personally, no. I think I had more fun in vanilla.
All right.
For me personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, now on to what everyone thinks is one of the best seasons. Season of Opulence. Now
Okay.
I'll admit.
He's,
Oh, so go ahead.
oh no, you can go ahead if you want.
Oh, I was okay. I was about to say like okay. Season of Opulence. It was good. I'll admit. Like the Maginary, Maginary. I can't speak, but
No, it's three.
yeah, yeah. Like that is probably one of the best modes they ever did. And it was so good that to this day people still compare it to that. Like for example, for Onslaught, I heard people like constantly like comparing it to it, and like and that to me is so I just love that. I'll be totally honest. I don't remember the lore of this season. I don't know why. I'm running a blank on it. Do you know the lore of it?
The lore, you mean?
Yeah.
So it's actually very simple. Basically, Callus wants to make us like his personal shadows, and his shadows are like basically different agents of Callus who work on his behalf across the system. So the thing about that is he was trying to bribe us with treasures. And the idea was we were helping Callus out the whole season with whatever he wanted, and we would get rewarded for it. For example, Crown of Sorrow. Galron was a big issue. He tells us, "Oh, we have a hive infestation. Go clean up, Guardian." and then, and yeah, and then the whole point of opulence is, well, not opulence, menagerie. The whole point of menagerie is that he's trying to tempt us even further. Now, gameplay wise, I think so because of the way the season was built. I don't think lore wise it was really that interesting. Like the only thing that was remotely eye catching about the lore for me back then was the Crown of Sorrow. And that was just because of its ties with Savathun and the implications of that for future seasons. But I think besides that, there wasn't really anything crazy about the narrative. But I think the gameplay, like you said, did make up for that. I would say, honestly, if it was placed in like B tier or something, it's a pretty fine placement. I would say place it like at least in the high levels of B tier, so
Uh,
like either above House of Wolves or behind it.
for me personally, I enjoyed it more than House of Wolves, so I think I'm gonna put it in the front. But yeah, like I said, yeah, like the gameplay. If we're just based off gameplay, I think it's S tier. But the lore, since the fact that I didn't even remember it, it just equals out just putting it in middle for me personally.
Yeah,
Because I know,
and I mean, I think for some people there's a fair argument that it could be A tier just because of like the enjoyment factor, and also because it's Callus. Like back then, Callus was like an enjoyable antagonist. Like let's be honest.
yeah, good old Callus. All right, now I'm gonna be straight up honest. I'm gonna say this right now. I did not play this year of Destiny. I did not play until season of Rivals, because around this time was when I started to um take a break from Destiny because I was getting bored. So I did not. I obviously I went back to play Shadowkeep, but I did not play the first three seasons.
Okay,
So
I can actually help with this.
so
So
I say I know what it is for each like season. I just don't have any like personal experience with them.
okay, here's where we should put them. Let's start with Shadowkeep. So Shadowkeep, put it above Curse of Osiris.
Yeah.
So the thing about Shadowkeep is, I would say it's better than Curse of Osiris, but it's still a painfully average fucking expansion to the point where it's just bad. Like the thing about the expansion is that like it didn't really offer anything new. Like during Shadowkeep's era, the two main things that they were really like advocating for like new stuff is because this was like around the time when Bungie became independent
Oh
and they
yeah.
tried to like innovate the game. And it started with Armor 2.0, where they started like where they started they started reintroducing like new stats and stuff like mobility, resilience, recovery, discipline, strength, etc. Right. This is where they really started to try to dwell into build crafting a little bit. This was the start of it all. Um, they also introduced finishers into the game, which was a pretty cool idea conceptually. And I don't think there's ever really been a complaint about finishers in the game, as far as I'm aware. So
Yeah. No, not
now,
for me.
I'm gonna say this right now. I absolutely hate Shadowkeep's story with a burning passion
I'm with you.
because nothing.
I'm with you. I never enjoyed it.
It's just so bad. It's just a nothing burger. Like there's no interesting conclusion. Like all it is just the first hint of the witness talking to us for the first time, and that's it. Like it's just we didn't even know it was the witness. Like there was no hint that there was any new thing happening. Like it was just so bad. And then they tried to like intertwine it with Garden of Salvation. And honestly, the only good thing that came out of all of that was the unveiling war book. Which I and even then, that's still like a topic of discussion till this day in the war community, because it's like they don't even know like if the continuity matches anymore. It's just so weird. So like it's just bad. Like I'm sorry, but it's just bad. If there is one good thing I can advocate for that honestly puts it above Curse of Osiris, is two things. One, the moon destination, they did revamp it a little bit, and it is kind of cool. And the the dungeon Pit of Heresy was also pretty memorable. I had actually a lot of fun memories trying to solo flawless that and failing absolutely because I could not get past the totems encounter. But yeah, um, so yeah, Shadowkeep definitely like easily at the bottom. Like, oh, it makes me cringe thinking about that
Yeah,
expansion.
yeah. I said this for the longest time. I think Shadowkeep is one of the worst like stories in Destiny history. I
Oh yeah,
like I went back to like try play on like all three of my characters so I could, finish on all three characters. I hated going through it after the first time because it was so boring. Because it's like okay, I like the idea of nightmares. That was kind of cool, and that got like further like added into Season of the Haunted. But the fact that Shadowkeep is a teaser for the next DLC, I kind of like that at times, but most of the time I don't. So yeah, for me personally, I'll always put it in D tier.
so another thing I forgot to mention. These might be some hot takes. So I actually think, in retrospect, Lightfall is actually better than Shadowkeep, which I find fucking hilarious. And then another thing about that too, I actually think like what you mentioned a little bit earlier. So for Season of the Haunted, I legit think the whole concept of Season of the Haunted is literally what Shadowkeep should have been in some way, shape, or form. Because what I liked about Season of the Haunted is that they emphasized better about like what the horror elements of the nightmares are supposed to be, right? Like they're literally meant to be trauma and everything.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, the more I get frustrated with the narrative of Shadowkeep because I realize they could have done so much more with the nightmares. Like they
Mm-hmm.
could have explored the great disaster in like cutscenes or something, and it could have been so good because the great disaster was such an important monumental moment in Guardian history about this great loss that happened, and we just never experienced that. Like we only get a passing mention, and that's it. And it's so, oh my god.
It's just like they could have done so much more. Like it's the fact that they brought back Crota, Gull, and Fequel, I think what his name was, as
Yeah,
bosses.
Fickle the Fanatic.
But the thing is, I don't like. It's the fact that they could have like maybe revamped the fights a little bit more. That to me was like maybe a little letdown. But yeah, they definitely could have easily worked on nightmares a lot more. Cause I like the idea of them. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I did not play the next like three seasons. I only heard much. I know what they are about. I just like I said, don't have any personal experience with them.
Okay, so Season of Undying. Um, Season of Undying, from what I remember, wasn't particularly bad. It's just okay. So the issue with Season of Undying is this was about the Black Guardian Vex, and they're trying to invade us. So what we did is we made an invasion portal on where Ikora was at in the tower. And this was pretty cool because the way the event worked was it was like kind of like a live event to an extent where you contribute progress to the Vex portal, I think. And the only problem with all of this is that the conclusion to the ending was just so anticlimactic. Like, literally, all we did was we go inside, we shoot the Vex that were in there, like a big mind or whatever, and then that was it. That was the end of the season. And it was like, and you can't help but be like, The I my brain just farted. I forgot the name of the character, but it's the pirate character from SpongeBob, where he's like sitting on the seat. He's watching the end of the episode as it closes. He just sits there like, "That's it,"
Oh yeah,
and
that's it.
that's literally what it was. Like, I wish I could exaggerate anymore, but that's literally what it was. It is so bad. Um, but I actually think, in the grand scheme of things, because of the concept behind it, I still think it's actually better than Shadowkeep, which I find wild of me to say. I would put it below like Drifter because there wasn't really anything lore wise that was interesting, but I like the concept what they're going for with Season of Undying, and I think it was at least somewhat better executed than what Shadowkeep ended up doing. So like I think that's a pretty fair placement.
Yeah, yeah. Like from what I've seen, like I do like the look of the weapons, which also we got back in the last season, but I that's probably the only cool thing from what I heard about it, because I really haven't heard that many positive things about it. So so yeah, like I said, I'm gonna put it in C tier. But okay, so this is probably one of the, like, out of the three, maybe the one I'm know the most about. Season of Dawn, I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
And okay, so right off the bat, I'd like to, I'm kind of sucker for like time travel kind of things. So the fact that this is kind of like, oh yeah, you need to go, what is it, back in time to bring back Saint 14, and like I really like that. Like I like Saint 14 as a character. I'm glad he's back. And like I'm pretty sure the one thing the community mostly remembers about this season is the Corridors of Time community puzzle. That to me is one of the best puzzles in Destiny history. The fact it took 6 days to complete, and at the end was Al Guardian's grave, which I completely forgot about until the other day. But I really like the fact that I I just miss it whenever Bungie does community puzzles like these. Uh, the weapons I
Yes.
the weapons I heard, they were pretty good from what I heard. They, let's see, I actually did hear they're coming back, but um, let's see, I I don't know anything about the seasonal event or activity.
So yeah, so I can explain a little bit about Season of Dawn. So Season of Dawn, this was when they really started to get complex with seasons, like with vendors and everything. I think, and it was pretty cool. Like conceptually, I think it's probably one of the better seasons. Now, ranking wise, I would put it behind Black Armory, and here's why. So the weapons and the loot were actually very good. They actually were pretty good because they had new archetypes to them that would later be expanded on for like future loot in the game. Like for example, for Barons, that's a wayframe. The first wayframe that was ever introduced in the game was Martyr's Retribution during Season of Dawn, and I still say this to a lot of people to this day. But we would probably not have wait for Barons if we did not have Martyrs. That's actually probably a
Yeah.
hot take because they probably would have made for Barons anyways. But I digress. So, okay, that's besides the point though. Point being, what made this an extremely fascinating season was that its puzzle is basically on the same length as like Niobe Labs, which was Quarters of Time, and the lore and story implications surrounding like the Guardian's death, as well as Saint 14 and having to save him, were so major, and the paradox surrounding it is so fascinating that it's just really interesting, like narratively. Like I don't honestly, unless we get like some focus on the Vex, like after Final Shape, I don't think we're gonna ever have like some insane mindfuckery the same way we do with Corridors of Time, which is honestly kind of sad to me. But yeah, honestly, I think Season of Dawn is a very, very solid season. Like when you really look back on it in retrospect, the loot was really good. The activity was all right, but the narrative implications with Saint and the Guardian were very good. And yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. I think there is one cool thing about the activity that I did remember is that the final week or like the final like activity for the mission involved you killing like these Scion bosses. And they were very unique when they came out because the idea was you had to like kill them with certain elements, I think, or like you had to kill like three of them at once. I forgot like the details, but I remember that it was really, really cool. And I really do feel ashamed and embarrassed that I don't remember like how the boss fight went. Which honestly, hey, maybe that's a testament to like how good it was. I don't know, but all I remember is like the general feelings, and the feelings are pretty mutual in that they're pretty cool. But that being said, I think A is a pretty good ranking. I don't think it's better than Black Armory. I think what Black Armory does is just way too insane, even for like a normal season by today's standards.
Yeah.
But I think Season of the Dawn is still up there because it's just a good season. Like it introduced a really awesome character. It brought in some really interesting lore implications with our Guardian, and the activity and the loot were relatively good enough. So I think it's I think it's pretty much right there, right up there, yeah.
Yeah, and like a little like side thing, I forgot to add to the quarters of time. I find it really interesting how Saint said our favorite weapon is the Bastion. I'm just like, so I don't know if you know this. I never use this weapon. I
Yeah,
I,
no, but no.
I just find
Hey,
that funny.
listen, hey, listen. Someone's gonna someone's gonna kill the witness with Sebastian. Just watch.
Oh my god, yes. Alright, anyway, we're on to Season of the Worthy. Well, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh God, this fucking season. Okay. Oh, I hate this season so bad.
Honestly,
Oh God.
I have a season just like that.
Oh God. Okay, I have to approach this in some way. Give me a second. Okay,
Alright,
so season of the worthy. Please put it in D tier. Honestly, if you need
oh,
to put
okay.
it below Curse of Osiris,
Alright, there you go.
I'm gonna kill you.
Alright, hold on, I'll move down.
And listen, okay, dude, Season of the Worthy was so bad. Like, okay, let me put this into perspective. Here's what happened. So the story is that when you beat the Cabal during Season of the Dawn, because that was what the story was, in this season, the Cabal tried to strike again by sending the Almighty, which was the big ship that they had during the Red War, by crashing it into Earth. And we have to go talk to Rasputin to say, we'd be like, hey, can you help us out with this guy? And narratively, I think we do. There was some interesting implications about like Rasputin declaring like its alliance with Earth because that was kind of like a wishy-washy thing before. But oh my god, the gameplay and the activity was so bad. Like I genuinely stopped playing the game when this season came out.
Oh.
That's how bad it was. Like it would to put it in perspective, the activity was just public events. That's it.
Oh, god. Oh, yeah, no.
It was just public
And then,
events.
and then, and
And it
then,
wasn't even like an interesting public event because people didn't know how to do it right. And it was just so frustrating and it was so boring. It was just so bad.
oh, god.
Like honestly, I think I had more enjoyment playing fucking Shadowkeep. And I wouldn't even normally say that. That's how bad this season was. The only good thing about it was that maybe the quest for Fourth Horseman and the implications surrounding it. And that's it. No redeemable factor otherwise.
Let's see.
It is just oh my god.
Let's see.
Wait, actually no. There is one thing that was alright, and that was it is gonna tie into the next season. They actually did show like some progress for like when the pyramids were gonna show up in Season of Arrivals on like a little map thing or whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that,
Let's see. And like one thing I remembered, because I remember hearing about this on YouTube, was that I think it was for it was for the legendary shotgun. I forget the name of it. Well, oh no, it was it was Village's Line. I remember the hearing
yeah.
that you needed to do 9 million public events for the quest.
Oh my god, you just unlocked a core memory that I just sealed away in my mind. Oh my fucking god.
And I remember hearing that the outrage was so bad that that it was nearly impossible to finish the quest by the time the season ended. So they had to buff it to make the quest
Yeah.
easier.
Oh, oh, I fucking remember that now. Oh, people were so fucking mad.
Oh my!
Oh
Right.
my
Wait,
god.
wait, can I do this?
You're, you're oh god.
Okay. There.
Okay, that I respect that. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. And then on this time, I started coming back to Destiny, so I have personal experiences now. Okay, season of arrivals. I like the season personally. First off, it introduced one of the best exotics of all time, the Wither Horde. Um, let's see,
I'm a weather word me.
let's see, and then the lore this season was that the pyramids arrived on Io, Mars, Titan, and what was the last one? Mercury. And so this was just essentially all about, I guess, one last hoorah, I guess, because I'm pretty sure this was when they announced the sunsetting fiasco, which we'll talk about next. But yeah, I personally liked it, even though the public event, like the mode happened again. It wasn't as bad from what I heard. And plus, this was when I started playing with my friend, and so that's kind of bumps up for me a little bit. For me personally, I'll put it in B tier personally. The lowest I go is C.
Um, so for season of arrivals, I actually think it might have some potential qualifications for A tier. Now, let me explain why. So, I don't think it deserves very high on A tier. I think it deserves like very bottom. But Season of Arrivals was very, very monumental for its time because it, like from a story perspective, this was the first time we have ever made contact with the pyramid ships besides the Luna pyramid, like active alien forces. And the way that they handled it was so cool because week by week, more pyramids would show up on different planets. And it was like watching an invasion happen. And it was like so creepy. And I have so many fond memories about that. And on top of that, there were many, many exotic quests during that time that were really good. You could get Traveler's Chosen, which was by going to the different destinations and warning people so you can learn about like what happens to them after the planets get vaulted, basically. You can also get Reverenus Effigy, which to get its catalyst, you have to go to each of those destinations to go shoot Savathun's eyes,
Oh
which was such a
yeah.
very unique mechanic to for Ruinous Effigy. And I'm honestly kind of sad that they don't really do a lot of that anymore. But anyways, um, it was just such an awesome season because there was just so much to do in it. Like you had the Ruinous Effigy exploration catalyst, you had Traveler's Chosen, you even had the Prophecy Dungeon, which a lot of people still think is one of the best dungeons in the game. And yeah, I mean honestly, it was just a really awesome season, like all around. Like there's just so much to do in it, and it was just like such a climactic season to end Shadowkeep off. Like it's just so funny because you go from Shadowkeep, right, which was so fucking bad, and you go from Season of Undying, which was like, it's mid, and then you go to Season of Dawn, which is like, okay, it's pretty good, and then they go to Season of Worthy, and it's like, oh shit, we're so fucking Jover now, and then you go back to Season of Arrivals. And it's like we're so fucking back.
Oh my god. Like I see, and go back to the whole like Sabantu thing. I love the fact they started teasing her here. Like I love that. And
Yeah.
then and then and
So
then
like,
and then at the end there was like the whole I guess like pre-log missions where you had to go to like each planet just to just do something before it's gone forever. And I kind of like that. So yeah, well, You changed my mind. I'll put it in A tier.
I think yeah. So what I think it should be A tier, but I'll put it at the bottom of A because I
Yeah.
think there's still a lot of better options, but it's still really good. And honestly, I think in comparison to a lot of seasons we've had in like recent years, I still think it's even better than those seasons in retrospect, which I find fucking hilarious. But yeah, so like it's definitely very good. And another thing I forgot to mention, it also had a live event where like even though the server issues were very like unstable to an extent, they're nowhere
Oh.
near as bad as the live event servers
Oh.
during Season of the
Oh
Worthy.
my god, I
And
remember that.
yep, yep. And on top of that, um, in Season of Arrivals, the live event was also, in my opinion, much cooler because while yeah, you saw the Almighty crash into the Earth, and for this it is just a cutscene, you're basically watching like history unfold as the Traveler heals itself.
Yeah.
And you could tell, like, when Beyond Light launched and you saw the Traveler fully healed, like, oh shit, this is a new era of Destiny. Like, that is just so cool to me personally. But anyways, um, yeah. So Season Rivals, I'll put it at the bottom of A tier. I think it's a really really good season. Um, I just think there's like better seasons in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. Alright, moving on probably to one of the most controversial DLCs, Beyond Light.
Okay. Um. Uh. If you want, I can probably go first. If you want.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Beyond Light. The thing about Beyond Light, and this is a trend you'll notice with Witch Queen, Lightfall, etc., is that the way Bungie works is what they focus on in their marketing is usually what you end up getting. So, like, if they're talking about the subclass of blood, but they're not really talking about the story too much, then chances are the story's not going to be that great, but at least the gameplay will be fun because they spent a lot of time to work on the subclass. And Beyond Light with Stasis was a very good example of that. They were hyping the fuck out of Stasis as
Oh
like the
yeah.
newest like toy to play around with. Is the first time we get to wield the darkness. Like it is a really cool concept, and the way they intertwine it with the story is kind of interesting. But I will have some gripes with it that I do want to share. So there are two things about the story I want to talk about. Well, technically three, but we'll get to it. The first thing is the Exo Stranger. I think the Exo Stranger and the way they intertwined her into the Beyond Light's narrative is really, really fucking cool. Because what they did was they basically explained the Dark Future timeline and how she has been in a constant time loop trying to prevent history from repeating over and over and over again. And it explains so much regarding like a lot of the actions she did. Even back in Destiny 1, it explains a lot. And on top of all of that, I also think that her character is better expanded upon in seasons like Season of the Seraph, which I think was pretty nice, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Now, Aramis, on the other hand, Aramis, okay, so I have an issue with Destiny villains where their biggest problem, besides maybe like The Witness and Savathun, in my opinion, is that a lot of what makes their characters interesting as like an antagonist is that they are that any information that makes them remotely interesting is locked behind lore cards. So unless you're like an avid savant of like reading the lore and actually understanding the story in the world that they're trying to convey in Destiny, you're not going to give a shit about the antagonists because they're so portrayed because they're portrayed as being so bare bones 90% of the time. I think Aramis kind of suffers from this, which is really sad because you could tell like the idea was they wanted to create an antagonist that was interesting because she wanted to look out for her people, right?
Hmm.
The Elixir. But they just made I think the problem is that they made her way too unhinged to really make that work. Like the whole idea is that she loses control of stasis as the campaign progresses, whereas you grow stronger with it. And while yeah, the idea and concept sounds cool, it just I don't know, it just doesn't really work with an antagonist that's characterized the way Aramis is. But who knows? Maybe that was the intention. I don't know. But personally, I just don't think it was really the right way to go about it. But with that being said, while I do have some issues and while I do have some pros and cons, I do also want to talk about the Deepstone Crypt, which, while I was kind of disappointed to an extent about the lore surrounding it, I think was made up for the fact that we do later learn about what the origin of the Exos are, thanks to some lore books from the Collector's Edition, about how Exos are supposed to be like human consciousness transferred to robots thanks to darkness and a source called clarity, which is basically darkness mixed with Vex shit, basically. Now, this, in my opinion, was probably like the peak of Beyond Light's lore, is learning about the tragedy of the Exos and what they had to go through. So, like, and it's even made even better with like when you actually go do the collectibles for the Exos on the Europa destination, because I don't think a lot of people know that. You could go look if you go to Europa right now. Well, not right now, but in the destination, and you go do the collectibles for them, you'll get like little lore audio logs about like even more tragedies surrounding the Exos, and it's really really sad. Like honestly, I think the Exos and the Exo Stranger were definitely like the big highlights of Beyond Light, at least like narratively, at least. Um, Beyond that though, gameplay wise, it was solid. I will say the campaign was boring up until like maybe the Glassway strike when you're fucking underleveled with like dual primaries because you have to use that for like even have a remotely good light level. But anyways, but yeah, Beyond Light I had pretty fond memories of. I know it's not really the best expansion, and I think there's like a lot of flaws to it. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's actually a pretty decently good expansion. Like it has stasis, it has a decent-ish story, like it's serviceable. The Exo Stranger is interesting, especially when you read about her lore. And the lore about the Exos is even more awesome when you actually look into it. So like, yeah, like in the grand scheme of things, Beyond Light, in my opinion, is still a pretty solid expansion. I
Mhm.
would say like if we were to put it like somewhere in B tier, that's perfectly fine. I just don't know like where in B tier, honestly. I was thinking like definitely above House of Wolves at the very least.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely above House of Wolves.
yeah. I agree. And in here's my opinion. I'm just gonna say it straight up right now. The most controversial like opinion in this video. I liked sunsetting. I said it.
Ooh, all right.
I actually think it was a good thing for the game. Because do you remember what I said about a year ago? You know the whole Anarchy, Mountaintop, and Recluse. Like
Right.
I guarantee you, if sunsetting never happened, I think people would still be using them without being ultimately like nerfed to the ground. So I'm glad they did sunsetting. Even though yeah, the one downside is like they didn't add as many weapons as they vaulted, and that's disappointing. Let's see, Stasis was extremely overpowered on launch. Do you remember how overpowered it was? Like it,
Um, vaguely.
let's see, there was a glitch with the Warlocks one where you could literally instant kill any raid bots. In PvP, obviously, you know, Shadow Dive was a problem for a year, which I'm not a PvP person, so I can't really talk much about that. But yeah, like I love the whole like aesthetic of it. Deep Stone Crypt is honestly one of my was is one of the only raids that I have the title for because I like the raid that much. Because I think Aatrox is a fun boss. I think I'm pretty sure we know about that from doing Aatrox.
Uh-huh.
Tanix was, I mean, I kind of wish it was another boss, final boss, but you know, it's fine. He was challenging and fast if you know how to beat it. And like I said, and like you said, the whole idea of you know the Deep Stone Crypt finally being revealed, a huge lore piece. I have to agree with you. It has to be in B tier at least. And yeah, like I said, Sun saying is a good thing, and I'm tired of saying it's not.
You're gonna have some fiery comments.
Yeah, no. But hey, I'm really,
All right.
I'm really taking on that heat. All right, season of the hunt.
Oh, interesting.
On me,
Okay,
honest.
season of the hunt.
Oh,
So season of the hunt was interesting. So like,
it was a season.
I per- I personally didn't like it that much. I wouldn't even say it's C tier, but I think it's definitely like not really like that bad. Like it's just kind of boring. Like okay, so the whole concept of like Zebra Wrath showing up, really cool. The whole Wrathborn and like the idea that Zebra Wrath's trying to corrupt like different races in order to like, know what she wants. And how that leads into the story with Crow. I thought that was all pretty interesting. And then there was also the Harbinger mission, which also was pretty damn cool
Mm-hmm.
because first go around you didn't really know like what the hell was going on, right? And then you go back to weeks and weeks later, and you get like the little ship for it, which I still have to this day, which is pretty neat. But I think like in the grand scheme of things, it's not really a bad season. I think there was objectively worse seasons. Like I think Worthy is a very good example, but I think it's just one of those seasons where it's just like very average. Like it's not bad, but it doesn't really do anything that's really interesting or groundbreaking. Like if I remember correctly, this was the final season from like Forsaken to like this season, right? And they kept up this narrative idea of like not really telling the full picture and actually not trying to establish cohesion. And obviously, we know already by now that from Season of the Chosen and onwards, they actually do kind of try to tell a story. And it works extremely fucking well, but we're going to get to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, long story short, I don't really even have a lot to say about this season. Like, it's not particularly bad, but it's also just kind of a big nothing burger, in my opinion. So, like, I think C is a very good option, like, right in the middle ground.
do you think it's behind Drifter or in
I think it's
front?
behind Drifter because at least with Drifter, his story was like very interesting, was very awesome. So like at least it had that going for it.
Yeah, yeah, like and see, and I do like the idea of like the like I'm pretty sure you what you just said about like I see is it about like Savathun controlling Osiris. I like the fact that started teasing in this season and that led
Yeah,
on because I really like the whole plot twist. And yeah, I agree with you. Like wasn't really nothing much. Like I remember doing the hunts for grinding at one point, but that was really it because I really could care less about it. The story, I'm glad that Crow's back. Well, Crow was introduced. Let's see, and this was all about we redemption for him essentially for the Guardians. So yeah, I have to agree with you. C tier. I don't. I say I'm pretty sure the exotic that came out was the. I think it was it the duality shotgun?
that was the seasonal exotic. The actual like exotic for like the exotic mission that was Hawkmoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, like Hawkwind, like I said, not a PvP person, but I did hear that Hawkwind's very good in PvP. Alright. Next up, Season of the Chosen.
Okay,
Ooh, I like Season of
now
the Chosen.
yeah, I agree. I like Season Chosen. There's a few good reasons why. Um, First reason, this was the first season where they actually tried telling a cohesive story that actually mattered. This was the first time when they introduced Keitel, and I still personally think Keitel is one of the more interesting characters. I know some
Mm-hmm.
people may disagree with that, but when you really examine Keitel's life, from like Callus to her usurping her father, there's a lot of interesting background that they also expand on in Season of the Haunted. But I'll talk about that later. So in Season of Chosen, this was when they really started trying to tell a cohesive story for Destiny. And I think it was the best decision they've ever fucking made, and I will stand by that. Because here, even if the seasons go away, it can at the very least tell cohesive narrative that has actual character development and actually you can like actually tell like what direction they're trying to go in. So like you like for example, this entire year of Beyond Light, you could tell that the whole purpose of it was learning to ally with enemies that we once considered like hostile, right?
Yeah.
Like for example, Season of the Chosen. This is about the Cabal, us allying with them, with Keitel. Spoilers: it doesn't go exactly that well until the Proving Ground strike, where we basically prove ourselves. And Keitel realizes, okay, I cannot force you on my war council, but at the very least, I can at least acknowledge you as an equal. And that's exactly what she does, and that makes her very based. And also, this was the season where Crow got face revealed to the rest of the Vanguard, and that was a whole awesome cutscene when that happened.
Yeah.
And I almost kind of squealed, I'll admit. Um, yeah, this was also when the Scion Rebel, like the Scion Rebellion, was also introduced, which is also pretty interesting because I personally think that's going to have important story implications after Final Shape, but that's for another time. Um, but yeah, so like in the grand scheme of things, Season of the Chosen is really, really good. I I would say like in the grand scheme of things, if I were to put it in a tier, it's either like towards the top of B or bottom of A. And that's just because for me, it's just such a revolutionary season. Like there was nothing really like it before until that season came along and they tried something new. And also, another thing I forgot to mention, Presage is an extremely awesome mission. It's still my favorite exotic mission in the game. It gives me huge Dead Space vibes, and I really think that they're never gonna be able to replicate anything like Presage for a while. Besides maybe Final Shape. But that's besides the point.
High hopes. Yeah, like I agree. I pretty much agree with everything that you said. Like, even though I do think maybe Savathun is a better like character for me personally, I do like Keitel, and I do like the fact that we kind of learn a little bit more of a backstory with her, in the Duality dungeon, and a little bit in Final Shape. Not Final Shape, Lightfall. My bad. And yeah, like and like the battlegrounds, I really I did like them now. I don't complain about playing them. Unlike other strikes like the Glassway and all that. I'll be like, okay,
Right.
yeah, fair. Um, let's see, and the lore of like us going to war against the Cabal to prove ourselves. I find that really interesting because like you said before, the whole the whole thing about Crow like revealing himself, and that was due to a assassination attempt on Zavala, and that was actually kind of being teased throughout the season because I remember there was like a lore card or lore book that was saying that while like Zavala was walking through like a garden one night in a tower, there was a Scion that was about to snipe at him, but Zavala heard a voice saying like "get down," and so as soon as like Zavala did, the shot like went right past him. So yeah, they were like this season was definitely all about war century or like I said, like proving yourself, and I like that. For me personally, I think I would put behind Opulence personally. I think I prefer Opulence a bit more.
Yeah. I think Opulence beats Season of the Chosen in terms of like the activity,
Yeah.
but Chosen is really, really carried by like the revolution in its storytelling and how that impacts later seasons of Destiny. But yeah, I think that's a very good placement.
Yeah. Okay. Season of the Splicer. I love this season personally.
Okay, Season Splicer. Yeah, I also love this season. I like the concept of them introducing the Vex network and how it would look like conceptually, and I think we're probably going to see more of that later on. And I just really, really love like the aesthetic they were going for, which is kind of like a Tron-ish vibe, where it's really just like it's just fucking trippy for the most part.
Yeah.
I would say now honestly, I think gameplay wise, um I think it definitely has like a lot of good merits to an extent. I think the expunge missions for me were like a really good highlight. Now, in terms of the narrative, I actually think this is one of the more interesting narrative focused seasons in the entire Destiny franchise. And this is because it does something that I don't think is really possible for any of the other seasons, which is that it explores the background of like the last city and their reactions to everything happening around them.
Yeah.
Like when the fallen Eric Lixney came in, there was like a whole turmoil about that. That there was like controversial opinions. Like there was so much politics surrounding like the decision. It was so interesting to explore that, and how like some factions like Lakshmi and the Future War Cult were actually trying to like exploit that to an extent, so that they can vote for the decision to get the Elixir out of the city. Now, obviously, we already know by now that this does not happen because Lakshmi does something stupid. But but yeah. So it's just really awesome. And I also remember fondly because like the memes with Lakshmi, where she was called like a fucking racist. Like one of my friends called like she changed her name on Steam to Lakshmi's racist Twitter account or
Oh
something.
my god.
It was like the funniest shit. Um, but yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, I really love Season of Splicer. Like gameplay wise, I think I enjoyed some seasons better, but the story was just so good.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to replicate what they're gonna do with that again. Honestly, I feel like the only way they could ever do that again is if they have a season in Destiny, right? That's kind of like this, but they also focus on like Lysander in the lore. And I don't know if anybody knows who Lysander is, but for brief context, he is a character in Destiny who tried to usurp the Guardian leadership. Not the Guardian leadership, the Vanguard leadership. But he got ousted and exiled from the last city. And ever since then, he has been trying to bribe Guardians from the last city in some way, shape, or form. That's where the skimmers from the Guardian games came from. Actually, it's
Oh
from him.
really?
So, Lysander, I feel like could be a very interesting antagonist in like if he was ever brought into the story later, because he would serve a very interesting role. He would serve as like a street level antagonist that is politically opposed to everything we do. And I think that would be so interesting for the story because we're so used to all these amazing, powerful gods that are telling like a space epic that spans across generations, right? And then we take things down a peg to like the perspective of the people and how Lysander influences. And I think that's such an interesting and I think that's like such an interesting thing to explore for like future story stuff. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting so sidetracked. But yeah. Long story short, I think they did a really good job with Season of the Splicer, like narratively at least. The only gripe I think I may have is how they handled the Vex Mind Curia, because she's supposed to be like a very important Vex Mind in the lore, and she just kind of gets killed off in a season, and people were disappointed about that. But personally, in retrospect, I'm not that bothered by it, especially since like her role in the story was just kind of reduced to being like Savathun's like tool basically. So it's like at this point it's like whatever. But yeah, I think honestly this one's kind of hard. I actually don't know where to place this one. It's definitely not C or D. Like let's get that out of the way.
I'm thinking
Um
A tier personally.
I'm thinking like if honestly I'm thinking like bottom of A tier actually. Like
Well,
I think the story is just so good and was so well developed that it's up there as like one of the better seasons in Destiny's history. And on
yeah.
top of that, I think gameplay wise, it was also much more engaging than Season of the Chosen. So because of that alone, I think I think overall, I think Season of Splicer was definitely better than Season of the Chosen. And honestly, the only thing I think Season of the Chosen would ever have over Season of the Splicer is literally just like for the Press's mission, and I feel like that's kind of unfair because Press is just goaded. But yeah, Season of the Splicer definitely like bottom of A tier. I'll put it below like Season of Arrivals because Season of Arrivals was, in my opinion, still really really good, and it's really hard to top that
It
one for like
was
season.
it was very very good. I like that.
Who is this? This is
Oh, it's hold on. So it's certified dumbass. That's just
no.
saying it.
You're. Is it fine if I just call you Baku?
No, that's yeah, it's fine. I just like
Uh,
saying that.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
So we're recording a video for Remember. We're doing a Destiny tier list for like the expansions and seasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're doing a video. I'm sorry. I'm
It,
myself. I was one. I'm sorry.
that's all good. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I was about to say like for season of the Splicer, I agree with you. I love the lore. Like I love the whole political aspect of it because you have some people that are that like the Fallen in the last city. Other people likes me doesn't. And like the two things I love about this season, the loot and Vaults of Glass return this season. That is huge for me because obviously it's the first remaster raid, and so it was good. I liked it. They definitely changed a bunch of the mechanics and all that. And then you have the loot, which obviously for me personally, two of the best legendary weapons in recent memory, at least in like the past like 2 years, I want to say. Ignition Code and Chroma Rush. I still use them to this day.
Yes.
Like Ignition Code with Slide Shot and Blinding. Oh my god, I use that all like in the next season that we're gonna talk about for Nightfalls. It is disgusting. And then Chroma Rush is
Yes.
apparently my most used kinetic weapon, apparently, according to Bungie. Now, like the other weapons, it was okay. Let's see, I remember the machine gun was getting some talk, and the shotgun I heard was okay. Past that, I don't really remember the loot. But I know for a fact that we haven't been talking about artifacts, the artifact mods. But I think we have to talk about it because this season did introduce one of the most overpowered ones in in Breach and Clear, which kind of made it so Anarchy had to get nerfed. But yeah, for the people that are watching that don't know what it does, essentially, if you shoot a boss with a grenade launcher, it debuffs that boss. I'm pretty
Oh
sure.
my god, reach and clear.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like, was it a 30% debuff?
Dude, it was such an insane debuff because you could use Anarchy and you
Yeah.
would just go to ham.
Yeah, no, then obviously since Anarchy kept on sticking and doing tick damage, the that debuff just stayed. It's a yeah,
God, reach and clear was so broken.
yeah, like I said, for me personally, I'm playing behind Arrivals. I love the season. No, 9S. Yeah, like I said, like this and next season are probably the seasons I played the most. I will admit that. And speaking of
All
next
right.
season, for the longest time, our longest season of 6 months, Season of the Lost.
That was until Season of the Wish came out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So, Season of the Lost. This one is interesting. Season of the Lost. Okay, narratively, this one was cool because this was like the big reveal that Osiris was Savathun, and that he had to make a deal with her to get rid of her worm. And a lot of important narrative implications happened, such as Morozov finally receiving character development, which we didn't really expect. I don't think a lot of people expected it, honestly. And also, um, how Crow's character was going to develop, and how he had to learn the memories of Aldrin, and how that impacted him. I think that was also interesting in itself. Now, would I say this is better than Season of Spicer? I actually don't know. I honestly, it's really hard to say because what Spicer did was very, very unique. But with the Season of the Lost, though, like the implications of Osiris being Savathun and like the stakes that were just gradually rising just because of Savathun alone. Like it went hard. Like it went pretty hard. Um, Gameplay wise, I also think it was pretty. I also think the gameplay was pretty nice. Like what I remember fondly from the gameplay was actually not like the main activity. The I forgot the name, but it was the stuff where you have to like I think it was like the realm walkers, like the stuff you have to like
Oh yeah,
you have to do,
yeah.
yeah you have to like do like certain mechanics, huh?
I'm pretty sure that was called. I think it was called Astral Alignment. I think.
Yeah, it was Astral Alignment. Yeah, thank you. Um, and then but what I really remember fondly of is the Shattered Realms, where there's like three different realms you go to like each week, and you have to fight certain enemy types in there. Like they're based off different destinations. Like for example, the first one is Taken, and it's on the EDZ. Second one is Scored, and it's based on the Tangled Shore. And the third one is based off the Hive, and it's on like the moon, I think. So yeah, honestly, they were like the realms were really cool because there's like a bunch of secrets that you could go explore around in there.
Yeah.
Like in terms of story and lore. Like for example, one of the cool lore bits I still remember fondly is when you discover that the Scourge are trying to fight each other, like ritualistically, like the Hive,
Oh
and this
yeah.
was explored in one of the realm missions. So it's just little bits of lore details that are scattered around like secrets, like little collectibles in that area. They're just so awesome to do. And I'm kind of sad that we don't really do a lot of that anymore. So yeah, just because of that alone, I think Season of the Lost is definitely up there as one of my more favorite seasons. But just put it above Season of the Spicer is really hard because like I feel like it makes sense that it should, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a really good season as like the lead in for Witch Queen. And yeah, honestly, it was just such a really good season as like a lead in for Witch Queen. It's just really hard because what Season of the Spicer did was special.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to give a true final opinion, I think I might have to put it above Season of the Spicer and put it like in between that and Arrivals.
Uh,
If not, then I'll put it like below Season of the Spicer.
I probably have to put it below, and because like I said, this is probably the season I played the most. This is the season where I reached the highest like season rank. This is the season where I grinded the most. This is the season where I played the most with my friend. Because I remember doing the Lake of Shadows non-stop. Because like I said, we were grinding for ascendant shards and all that. So I personally really like the season just because of fond memories. The loot, I didn't really like the loot all that much. The lore, I liked. Overall, I liked it, but we should also mention this season also did had an artifact mod like Breaching Clear, which was particle de- deconstruction,
Yes, it
which
was for
was
linears.
and since this season was 6 months, the meta lasted way longer, with the Vex being the meta and 1K. With Sleeper also being there as well, but it was mostly 1K and Vex.
Yep.
And also for legendary fusions, it was the Cartesian.
Yeah, for from what I remember, they also use threaded needle.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's yeah. I don't blame you. It's the void linear that nobody uses now.
yeah, since like Doom Petitioner came out and all that, and also that the Taipan.
Yep.
Alright, but anyways, this is still part of the season of Lost. Bungie's 30th anniversary.
Honestly, this one's kind of hard to place. It's definitely like up there in A tier because let's put it like this, right? Like it was fun, right?
Yep.
Like it had Dares of Eternity. It had the whole Forerunner stuff. It had Gjallarhorn. Like the whole point is, it's just meant to be fun.
Yeah,
Like it was just good old fun to celebrate Bungie. Like that's all it really had to have been. Like it didn't really have to be anything more than that. And honestly, while I feel like in isolation it really didn't deserve a whole lot, I think it was pretty fun. Like I think in terms of like my personal opinion on it, I wouldn't say it's high A. I'll say that. Like I think it's A, but it's definitely not high A because it doesn't really do a lot besides what I mentioned. But I think that's fine because like I said, it's just a celebration event. Like that's really what it was in the grand scheme of it. So I would say purely for just the celebratory enjoyment factor of it, I would put it in between Splicer and Lost.
yeah, I agree. At most I probably maybe put behind Lost, but I'll put it in fun. But I do like the dungeon. The dungeon was a lot of fun. My opinion, the funnest for a long time. The armor was really cool looking. Like the whole like thorn theme. I actually still use like some of the some of that armor set to this day. Honestly, Gallahorn coming back, that was huge. And also other noble Destiny 1 weapons. I think it was like Azaluna, Thousand Yard Stare, and Matador. I'm pretty sure that's it, right?
Yep. Yep. Matador.
Yeah, like I didn't really use them. I say the main one I mainly used was Izaluna when I tried using Stasis on my Warlock, I believe, due to Headstone. And
Yep. Collecting Headstone.
yeah, like I said, like obviously since they brought back Gjallarhorn, they had to rework it so that way only one person needed Gjallarhorn essentially. And I like that change, personally. Um,
I think Gjallarhorn is probably one of the most balanced exotics in the game while still being really strong.
surprisingly, but yeah, like yeah, I agree. Like it's very balanced because, like I said, only one person needs it. Because if all six people use Gjallarhorn, you're gonna lose damage. That has been scientifically proven. And so yeah, like you said, this is just a fun time. We're also gonna talk about Dares of Eternity. That was a fun mode. Even even though playing it, maybe a couple hundred times, that wasn't fun. But I'm not gonna lie, Zuh being like a game show host, it was really funny. But but
Yeah,
yeah,
it was pretty funny.
like it was easy. It was fun. Um, let's see, like the exotic ship that you get for it, like that media. Oh, that's a really cool looking ship. So
Oh yeah, it was.
so yeah, I probably have to agree with you now. It probably has to be maybe in front of Lost. It was good, but I'll probably still play Splicer more if I had the chance.
All
Like,
right.
on to
Now,
Witch Queen. Oh,
oh, here we go. This is
oh,
what I've been waiting for.
I love Witch
Okay,
Queen.
dude, Witch Queen is so good. It's one of my favorites. Okay, now we need to look at this. We need to ask ourselves: is this worthy of being S tier? Is it revolutionary? Because I think it is, and I can explain my reasons why. But I want to hear what you think first.
Okay, so for me personally, I agree with you. It is S tier. Like honestly, it did so much that I think it deserves to be S tier. It didn't revive Destiny from the dead. No, because I'm pretty sure Destiny was still really good before then. But it's just the fact that Witch Queen added so much stuff, like quality of life stuff, like like crafting, that came out in Witch Queen. And obviously, that's how that forever changed the way you farm because now you just farm for for weapon patterns. They started reworking all the light subclasses. which the first one was Void, which also we're gonna talk about later on for the next 3 seasons. But like Void has always been one of my favorite subclasses, especially on Titan. And so for me personally, like I said, S tier for that. The lore, one of the best. If I have to basic strictly on lore, I put an S tier still, but in front of Taken King. I think the lore is amazing. The raid,
Yeah, so for me, I think actually putting in front of Taken King is a pretty interesting spot. So content wise, I think there was more in Taken King. But I actually think Witch Queen had a lot more to offer in retrospect. And the reason why is because Witch Queen in isolation is, in my opinion, one of the best expansions in the entire game. It revolutionized our understanding of the lore and the story, and it also finally helped give a proper cohesive idea of the story that Bungie wants to tell and where they want to go next, which obviously involved introducing the witness. Now, for me, if I were honestly the thing about Witch Queen is I actually think it did kind of revive Destiny to new. And the reason why is because Destiny during this time period was kind of on a mediocre decline. And it wasn't really because of like any bad decisions. It's just that for a lot of people, the game just started to feel very samey and stagnant. So like, and this has been apparent since Shadowkeep. Like people were making a big gripes about like sunsetting and like Bungie being really bad. And this was like before the Sony acquisition, so people had their ideas were like all over the place. Like this, like to put it short and simple, the sentiment for players was very, very mixed. Personally, I had fun during the Beyond Light season, but I understand like why some people definitely didn't enjoy it, and especially if they're like PvP players, considering like the stasis meta was like igneous 120 RPM hand cannons and like shitter diving, but but yeah, so like I think personally I think Witch Queen definitely revived it. And it's not even because like the game was necessarily dead. It's just that the game was just in a very stagnant state that players are just not enjoying. And on top of that, I think Witch Queen just breathed so much new life into the game because they tried so many innovative ideas. Like they recontextualized the lore in such a way that it made the campaign and the raid both satisfying, which I think is extremely hard to do, especially for like when you consider Forsaken standards. Where, in my opinion, the campaign was decent with like Origin and the Barons, but I absolutely love the endgame stuff. I think Witch Queen was able to succeed, ironically, in a way that Forsaken failed, narratively. With that being said, though, um, I think for me, the biggest thing that I think for me that places Witch Queen up in S tier is that it just revolutionized so much, like just in the game itself, that you could just tell that there's just so much passion put behind it. And I think and honestly, I feel like the only other expansion, which is going to come out tomorrow or later today, that is going to give me the same vibes as Witch Queen is going to be Final Shape.
yeah.
And I have no doubt in my mind that Final Shape is going to most likely be very, very good for a lot of reasons. But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, I think, for a lot of reasons. And I don't even know if we can put it on this tier list, but I have a very good confidence for why I think Final Shape is definitely going to be up there with Witch Queen. But, anyways, I'm getting way so ahead of myself. Yeah, Witch Queen, definitely up there. I don't know if I would put it above Taken King, but honestly, I can fully respect the decision because Witch Queen just does so much that even I feel like Taken King lacks in. Because with Taken King, the story was very simple. It was just about Oryx coming to the system to avenge his son and also fight as the Guardian. In Witch Queen, there is the whole mystery about trying to figure out how Savathun stole the light. And then we later learn she never even was stolen to begin with. She was given it. And that the Hive were always meant to have the light. They just never could because of the witness's actions.
Yeah.
And I just find that so fascinating because nobody could have ever predicted that, I think. So, yeah. Just because of that alone, I personally think where Witch Queen is right now is a very fine spot. I actually think it's revolutionary because it did a lot. Sorry, it did a lot of bold ideas for the game at the time that I don't think anyone was ever expecting in the entire franchise. It's definitely not above Forsaken. Actually, no. Narratively, I think it's above Forsaken to an extent. Content and gameplay wise, though, I still think Forsaken's better. But anyways, um, yeah, I'm getting a little bit all over the place now. I'm sorry, but that's just because it's my favorite expansion. But yeah, I think I think Witch Queen is definitely really good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't know like where to put it in relation to Taken King, because I know some people may argue about that. But I think like looking back on it in retrospect, because I played both, I think Witch Queen was just it just had a lot more to offer in the grander scheme of things. But anyways, sorry if I took so much of the time talking about that because I had a lot to share with that one. Holy,
Oh, oh, hey, it's all good. Hey, like I said, I like to hear opinions, so I was just listening. But yeah, like I've got to say this. But yeah, the raid for Witch Queen, one of the best. Vow of the Disciple is really good. Like honestly, the only encounter didn't really like is the very first one, not the whole payload. I don't count that. I'm pretty sure it was called like Acquisition,
payload.
but because like it was the encounter before Caretaker. But yeah, Caretaker, amazing. Walk, in my opinion, the coolest raid boss in Destiny history. Like his
Okay, that's what
design,
we're.
lore, and damage phase is the reasons why I love it.
It's if you don't mind me interjecting a
Hey,
little
go
bit,
ahead.
it's kind of funny too because I think a lot of people, even myself, thought that Abathun was going to be like the raid boss, and if not her, then like Zubo Wrath or like a
Yeah,
Hive God, Worm God, and then we get Rolk, and then we later learn that he's a disciple of basically a being that is even stronger than the Worm Gods, and then we realize, oh shit, this is a whole new power gap.
yeah, yeah. Like it,
So,
like seeing Walk, which at this point was technically the first race technically since Vanilla Destiny 1. Like he wasn't part of the Taken. He wasn't part of the Scorn. He was a part of Siva. He was Lubre. And like I said, I also love his damage phase because up to this point, like all the raid bosses, they just stand there and they shoot at you, and you just do damage. Walk on the other hand, when damage phase started, he was like, "Oh sweet, it's damage time," and he just charges straight towards you, and I just love that because he had to like constantly move around, so you really couldn't rely on well all that much. Which obviously well is meta and probably still will be meta in the final shape. But yeah, Div also helped a lot as well. And I'm pretty sure this is where it started to get major talks about it. I mean, honestly, it was always used, but I'm pretty sure during Walk, I think is when it was most prominent. I think because I'm pretty sure up to this point, the only boss that was really it was mandatory on was Tanix, I believe. Since
right.
since it was hard to hit Tanix's head, uh, and same thing with Walk. And the fact that, like I said, like Walk is the first disciple, so he was to me the best disciple out of the ones we've seen. I mean, obviously we only seen one up at this point, but later on he was the best in my opinion. And his design and like his lore, oh my god. I honestly think nothing will beat Volk. Because I also love like the cocky like characters that have like the power to back it up, essentially. And Walk to me is that. Because it was confirmed that Walk could easily kill the Guardian as soon as we enter his pyramid ship. But since he was so cocky, he just didn't, and he wanted to fight. And that to me just shows, like you said, the power gap between us. And just saying, only imagine how strong the witness is when we fight him. That's gonna be insane. But anyway, yeah, like Witch Queen S tier, like it did so much. Okay. Oh, honestly, this is honestly one of the most forgettable seasons for me personally. Season of the Risen, I think what was.
All right. This one's gonna have an interesting implication. So this I think is worthy of C tier, but I think it should go above Seas of the Drifter actually.
Really?
Now,
Okay.
so let me explain my reason. While I love Drifter's lore, what Season of the Risen did was basically kind of the same thing, except in my opinion, even better. Basically, what Season of the Risen story was about is it was about the dichotomy and the different perspectives of Crow, Saladin, and Kaido, and how they all clashed. And in my opinion, Season of the Risen was one of the most important seasons establishing the relationship of the coalition between the Cabal and humanity. And showing how fragile the relationship was and what they needed to do to strengthen it. Because all it took was Crow doing one fucking goofy ass
Oh
prank,
my
as I'll
god.
call it, with Kaido's best friend from her childhood, by the way, and it almost wiped out an entire alliance that was honestly, in my opinion, necessary in the story up to this point, considering like the assault on Neomuna, and as well as like what's probably gonna happen in Final Shape. But yeah, so like this was just a really good season narratively for me because it showed the flaws that existed with the coalition. And while I wish it could have been expanded on more in other seasons, I think what they did here was fine. And it showed that like how different perspectives really can change and like how they can really impact each other. And in case you're wondering like the context of what the story was about, as like a reminder, basically it was about how we were using the scions of Kaido's war council to basically like mentally tap into the hive guardians we capture so that we can probe them for information about like Savathun's plans. However, Crow doesn't like this because he has his own personal perspective about like valuing all life, including even the hive guardians. And Saladin then has to explain to him that like in war, you can't really have that mindset. And sometimes the strength you have is determined by the path you choose to walk it. And there is a whole cutscene that is extremely emotional that shows how Saladin spared a young girl that later became abandoned and murdered an entire village that he was meant to save, all because he spared that one young girl. And he wanted to so badly save her, only for him to realize that his actions were in vain. And that to me was such like to me that was one of the best cutscenes in Destiny. Period. Which might be a hot take, but it was such a really good cutscene. And it was also during the Dark Ages, so that's it's no surprise it's the best. Lamau. Anyways, but yeah, so like Season of the Riven story is not really great. Like it's very bland. Like if you actually like the plot itself, but that's not what the point was. It was meant to be a plot that focused on the coalition and how some of the characters were kind of clashing with each other. And if it wasn't for Saladin choosing to go on Kaido's war council, he wouldn't even have the Cabal right now. which is weird, which is crazy to think. But yeah. Honestly, I would say putting it below Destiny 2 Vanilla and above Season of the Drifter is a pretty fine placement. It's not crazy. It's pretty forgettable for a lot of people. But for me, just because of what they did regarding like the story for Crow, Saladin, and Kaido, and the consequences of their actions, and the strength and the path that it takes to walk a certain path, and the strength that comes with it, it just made for a very compelling narrative.
Yeah. And see, I'm trying
So
to
yeah, I would
debate.
say putting it. Oh, sorry, what?
I was debating if I agree if I should put it behind or in front of Drifter because
Yeah, honestly, it's really hard because Drifter's lore is also awesome. So
yeah,
like, it's really difficult.
I think for me personally, I think I have to put it behind. I think and like and like
I honestly, I wouldn't blame you.
and like okay, here's I mean if you don't see a trend, the seasons that like ship alongside the major DLC, they're often the worst in my opinion in most cases. We'll talk about that here in a minute. For me personally, but yeah, like I'm gonna be honest, like I said, it's for me personally the most for like I don't remember much from it. Like I played it, but I know what's about and all that. I just don't really care that much about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, next is Season of the Haunted. Now, off the bat, like I
Okay.
said, I'm I I love Darker Tones, so the whole thing about loss and all that kind of boosted up for me a little bit.
All right. Here's what I think was about Season of the Haunted. Now, the thing about Season of the Haunted is narratively, like plot wise, it's not interesting, like at all, because nothing really happens. But the character development was probably the best in the entire franchise, in my opinion. And the reason for that is not necessarily because of Crow, even though Crow's was very good. It's not because of Kaido's, which I think was pretty cool because of Dominus Skull coming back. It's actually because of Zavala.
Yeah,
Because let's put this into perspective. Before this season came out, nobody gave a shit about him. They always memed about how he was just this very stoic, very serious faced character, right? But all of a sudden, all it took was giving him a tragic backstory, and people suddenly did a 180, and they realized, oh shit, this fucker needs a hug. And honestly, I'm perfectly on board with that because they did such an amazing job with the backstory with him and Sophia and Hakeem.
yeah.
It is just like, oh, fuck, man. And
Oh man,
it just hurts even more knowing that the witness is gonna fucking manipulate. Oh my god.
yeah, like it was so good lore wise. I mean, it was annoying, going 1 week and we can't do the thing and then going back the next week to finish it, do that 3 separate times. That was kind of annoying. But yeah, like the fact that Crow's nightmare was Aldrin. Obviously, Keitel was Gaul, and obviously Savalas is yeah. Why can I not speak? So,
Okay.
but yeah, anyway, I like I said, I love Doctor Tones, and the thing and like this is all about loss and and like I guess like for forgiving. I love that, and this is but also on the other hand, the whole the season overall about us about the Callus's ship with like this family just coming back. I find that really cool, and the fact that it was like abandoned essentially. The weapons coming back, Callus mini tool, um, Austringer, really good weapons. It's and also the actual seasonal ones. I can't like Hollow Trace was a good one. I remember the rocket launcher being really good as well. I can't remember the name of it.
You're talking about
Yeah, it wasn't part of like it wasn't like part of like like the Callus Mini Tool set and all that. It was like based. It was like off of like the actual like seasonal. I just
yeah, you're talking about Bump of the Night. It was the
oh
stasis
yeah
rocket
yeah
on Chilpwood.
yeah. I never got the pattern for that, but yeah, and then the duality dungeon. That was a good dungeon. Extremely buggy though, but it was fun.
Oh, dude, it was a buggy ass dungeon. Oh my lord.
Yeah, like I remember constantly dying to the bell, even though I was in like the area to teleport. It was so annoying. But yeah, like but then finding out about Callus and all that, and in the dungeon, and how I'm pretty sure wasn't it like that he feared Kaido the most, and that's why she was like the final boss. It was
Yes, because she was like Kyle Callus's greatest regret is why.
oh okay. Yeah, and the weapons at the time really good. The first linear three burst, and
Which was broken.
yeah, yeah, and then it had to be nerfed immediately. Yeah, like I remember playing with my friend, and we had a lot of fun. For me personally, I think I had to put in B tier myself.
I think it should also be in B tier. I think there were some things that can be better about it, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it is definitely one of the better seasons. I would say
Honestly,
put
I
it put it I would say put it above Beyond Light at least. Like
beyond light.
between Warmind and Beyond Light.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Oh, oh, mm, I hate this season. I hate this
Okay.
season.
Yeah, okay. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. So let's try to look at it objectively. Real quick. So narratively, this, in my opinion, was one of the weakest seasons because while the idea of making Mithrax like an arbiter figure that has like a vendetta against this Aramis was cool, there's a few complications I have. For example, Varric's not being involved, which I think is a big misstep.
Yeah,
And also, um, the entire idea of like the whole Nezarec relics, I felt like was something that
oh,
would have led to a different plot line. And what I mean by that is what I would have liked with Season of the Plunder, like if I were to rewrite it, is make it so that Osiris wakes up at the beginning of the season and he tells us about the Veil and explains that we need to go look for the other artifacts of Nezarec to find out like where it can be located. And that's like our main motivation for that season, which is to go find the artifacts of Nezarec and find the path that leads to the Veil, which is on Neomuna. And then along the way, we learn more details about like what the Veil could possibly be through like some of the lore tabs. In my opinion, this will be an amazing way of introducing the Veil conceptually into the story
yeah.
before Lightfall, and having it not be like out of nowhere, basically. Um, with that being said, I will say that gameplay wise, I'm kind of mixed because I think Catch Crash in retrospect was pretty fun. Like it wasn't trying to like be anything crazy. It was just meant to be a goofy pirate adventure where you fling yourself on the enemy ship and go fucking board it. Like like that sounds stupid, but it works. Um I didn't enjoy the pirate hunt stuff, the like the
Oh
pillage
my,
hunts or whatever they're called. They were so fucking boring. Um but that being said, Catch Crash was awesome. Kingsfall was great. Arc 3.0 was also awesome. So while there are some things I don't like about this season, I don't I don't think it's up there with like the worst of the worst. Like I think we can at least say that Season of the Worthy is so much worse than Season of the Plunder. Like for all that is bad about it, there's at least some positives that could be gleaned from it. At least some. So what I would say is putting it like I would put it like at the top of D tier or bottom of. Well, actually, no, wait. I would put it. I would put it between Season of the Hunt and Season of the Risen.
Let's see.
Yeah.
For me personally,
Huh?
like I'm gonna say as well off the bat, Season of Worthy to you is Season of Plunder for me. I despise this season
Oh.
to my very core. Like, I'm be honest, like the only things I liked about it was Arc 3.0, which I'm a time main, so us having probably the
Really
most
good.
powerful build of all time was a lot of fun.
Really good.
Yeah, and Kingsfall, really good. For me personally, that's where the positives end for me. This the story, in my opinion, one of the worst in Destiny history. I hate the fact that I don't know, like at the end, Saint 14 made tea from Nezwect and Osiris woke up. Like, I'm sorry, what? And
Yeah,
don't get me wrong,
that was pretty bad.
I love pirates, but I'm sorry, I don't think that fits Destiny for me. For me personally, like
Yeah, it really doesn't.
it was a cool idea, but no, it does not fit because pirates are like um they use like flint knocks and all that. They don't use like futuristic weapons and all that. Yes,
And they were trying to go for a. If anything, what they were trying to go for was like a treasure planet kind of thing, where it's like space pirates, basically.
yeah, yeah, and like even then like okay, I'll admit I know she's adorable and she needs to be protected at all costs. Spider, he was annoying in this season, giving us trash loot weekly by giving us green gear.
I remember that.
I genuinely thought it was bugged, but then I learned it was actually he was actually like legit. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, and let's not even get started on like that little like community event, the $90 million cornfield.
Oh, I fucking remember. I fucking forgot
The
about that
nine
shit. That's fucking hilarious.
like the $45 million benches. Like like I genuinely like here's the thing. I don't bash seasons all that much, because at least like some seasons have some demon qualities. For me, Season of Plunder has none of that outside of Arc 3.0 and King's Fall. It's boring. The activity sucked, and I never wanted to even see this ever again. It's a
Would
for,
you would you say Shadowkeep is worse or better than Season Wonder?
for me, it's better.
Wow. Okay.
I really did not like the season, and like I got the title for it, one of the most painful titles I ever gotten. I legit hated it. Like I imagine doing the fucking champions one where you had to kill like 50 champions and like that and
Oh,
whatever that
okay.
mode
That was
was.
yeah.
And
I
it was
remember
so
that.
annoying if you were playing with other people that speed won everything, so that way they didn't spawn. Oh my,
Yeah, that was annoying.
oh my god, I hate it. I hate it. Let's just move on.
I think we can at least agree that it's definitely not as bad as Season of like Curse of Osiris, though, right?
I think that one I would agree because like I said, because Cyrus was about to shut down the Destiny servers. I don't think Plunder was about to do that.
Oh yeah, no, I think we can at least agree about that.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. I'm pretty sure, for me personally, that's as far as it can go.
All right,
Okay, for me,
now
okay, I'm gonna say this right now. Season itself, one of my favorite seasons in recent memory.
I agree.
Like, like I was surprised about how good it was and how much I miss it. because like
Honestly, for me, Season of the Seraph is probably one of the best narratively written seasons because of how they handled Rasputin. It was so poetic. Like the whole point, like the way they intertwined the narrative together for Season of the Seraph was so good. Because basically what they did was they had a theme which was about war, and they used it and intertwined it with Rasputin's evil wrath and what Rasputin's background is revealed to be and what he was meant to be. And we learn through Clovis Bray and everything that the whole point of Rasputin is that he was meant to be a war machine, but Anna basically saved him. And it is in this narrative that we finally get to understand what Rasputin's character conflict is. Is he has is It's kind of like an identity crisis. He has to grapple with if is it's this is gonna sound it's gonna this is gonna kind of sound stupid. I feel like I want to do like the fucking Jujutsu Kaisen Gojo fucking segment for this. It's like, are you Rasputin because you're a war machine, or are you a war machine because you're Rasputin?
oh my god.
So like that's literally what this was. Like Rasputin had to grapple with like who he is, and if he can be more than a war machine, basically. And it was just such an interesting characterization for Rasputin because like what it ended up leading with is probably one of the, in my opinion, one of the saddest in cutscenes in
Oh my
Destiny
god.
history,
I cried at that.
where yeah, Rasputin basically sacrificed himself to basically save humanity, and it was like, and that was when I realized that's when I realized Rasputin was fine with that decision because he found his answer. He's Rasputin. He's a war machine, but he can be more than that. And he chose to end it all right then and there to finally end literally everything. And when you think about it, this makes so much sense for his character because if you think about all the context surrounding him, right?
Yeah.
Everything from Destiny 1 is about how Rasputin's like own war stats, like all his own technology is used for violence every single time. So he basically put an end to all that. And it's just wow. It's just I honestly sometimes I'm even right now I still can't even believe that like such a major event happened like that.
Yeah, like, I know, like the whole ending cutscene for me, for me personally, is my favorite cutscene in Destiny history because it was so emotional and, like you said, one of the most important events, and the traveler leaving happened all in one cutscene.
Right.
And like, and if we're going back into the season, so one thing you don't know about me, the Extra Stranger is actually one of my favorite characters. So any season that has her in it, I like. But yeah, like I like the fact that Extra Stranger is like is like a gents, like, um it is just like Clovis like helping, but Anna's like, oh no, he changed, he can help. No, no, he didn't change. The seasonal weapon, I will admit, wasn't for me personally. I didn't like Revision Zero. I never really used it that much because I didn't really like it. I think there was better options. Um, to see the seasonal exotic, the Manticore, it was it was a mimic weapon. I like to call, because it was literally all about airborne effectiveness, which I kind of find funny. But
But yeah, I think that was like Bungie doing a fucking job, honestly.
yeah, I definitely think that was kind of intentional. But yeah, like I really did like the season. Like the lore is really cool. This if it was based it off of the ending cutscene, it's S tier for me. But think for me personally, I'll put it in A tier, at least at the bottom of A. What about you?
Um, you said put it at the bottom of A, right?
Yeah, that's what I personally think.
Um, I think honestly, I would put it. Honestly, I would put it above the anniversary pack, but between Season of the Splicer, actually,
Yeah.
because let's put it like this: while I do like what Season of the Lost did, the thing with Season of the Lost is it did a lot, but I think it's just one of those cases where everything Season of the Lost did, Season of the Seraph just did more and magnified it by establishing the stakes. And of course, Bungie Anniversary, it's just goofy fun, but like you just compare it to Season of the Seraph with like the emotion that was built up that whole season and then that cutscene. It's just really hard to top that. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. Like, I guarantee you, probably in the final shape, there's gonna be cutscenes that'll be that good. But like, but the fact that cutscene led into Lightfall is what did it for me. And and
Honestly, so like, dude, speaking of that, I'm just gonna say this right now. I need a cutscene where Cade fully understands the burden that Zavala has, and then he just fucking hugs out his bro. Like
yes,
I need that. I need it. I need it.
yes. A little side topic, but I'm actually really hyped to see Akua, Cade, and Zavala all on the same screen again.
I know, right?
Like, I'm really hyped for that. But anyway, okay, on to the last DLC, like last current DLC, because technically Final Shape didn't come out yet. Lightfall.
All right. So
Whoa.
here we go. This is where we're gonna have a very interesting discussion, in my opinion. So I actually have some notes written for this. I want to lay out what I think would be some really interesting rewrites. But anyways, narratively, I think we can agree that Lightfall was probably as bad as Destiny 1 Vanilla. Like, let's get that out of the way. Um, Gameplay wise, I think it's actually probably one of the best in Destiny history because Strand is extremely fun. Legendary campaign was really good. The raid was kind of mid though, but besides that, I think what Lightfall offered with Strand, in my opinion, makes up for a lot of that. Strand is just way too fucking fun and innovative.
And in one specific class, overpowered. Titans.
Wow.
Yeah, like,
Uh,
what's that going?
what were you gonna say, sir?
Oh, I was about to say, is he? Yeah, like I said, like after doing like Pantheon, which we're gonna talk about later. Moon of Nightmares really changed for me because planets and Nezzy kind of kicked our asses, so
Yeah.
kind of have Vietnam flashbacks from them now. But
All right. Well. To be fair, during Day One Root of Nightmares, I think it's actually easier than Pantheon because in Day One Root you had Starfire Protocol, and also there was like certain things that you could do within that raid that were like 100 times easier, like banning on the plates for Nezzy DPS, like shit like that. But yeah. Anyways, so regarding the story stuff for Lightfall, in my opinion, this is going to be a controversial take. I think what they were trying to go for in Lightfall could have been fine. What they were trying to do was tell an isolated narrative that which the seasons could build off of to lead into Final Shape. In hindsight, it could have worked. The problem is that they needed to do certain things in the narrative to make this work. Here's what I think they should have done. First of all, they needed to make it concrete from the beginning that the thing that we are trying to prevent is the veil connecting with the traveler. Because I know that was a whole other thing where like there's an inconsistency where like they're trying to destroy the veil or something like that. It was some weird shit. But anyways, Let's get that out of the way. They should make that very apparent that their goal is to connect the Veil with the Traveler. Now, another thing they should have done. This is going to sound like a very weird suggestion, but hear me out. They should have had Eris involved. And the reason why is because she, out of all the characters, is the one that is most familiar with the final shape. And all Bungie had to do was add in a cutscene that explained the many theories about what the final shape could be, and then connect it all together by saying that whatever the witness is trying to do with the veil is most likely going to do with the final shape. This introduces the idea of the final shape very early on, which will be later expanded upon in Season of the Deep. It also establishes that the final shape is most likely going to be very apocalyptic, meaning that the stakes are already established there. In fact, by keeping the stakes relatively ambiguous, by not knowing what would happen if the veil connects, we can assume, at least through our imagination, that if the veil connects with the Traveler, it could just be game over instantly. Which we know is not the case because there's a whole portal thing, but we didn't know that at the time. So, what Bungie needed to do is strike a balance between establishing enough stakes so that we actually can care about the conflict, and they could have easily done that by explaining what the final shape is in theory and connecting that with what the witness's goal is. And when those two things happen, then we suddenly understand, oh shit, if we don't succeed here, right, it could just be the end of everything right then and there. Now, with that being said, another thing I think they should have done, this is going to sound very, very dark. I think they should have explored the Cloud Striders more by exploring their mortality. Because here's what's interesting. What made the Cloud Striders so interesting from a narrative standpoint is that they're basically the Guardians, but they don't grapple with immortality. They grapple with how they have a very short lifespan. And that every moment they live, they have to make it count. That's their whole gimmick. And we see this reflective with the relationship between Rohan and Nimbus. And I think I know exactly how to make Lightfall extremely dark with the flip of a switch. In the mission with the radio mass, we actually succeed in destroying it, regardless of Rohan's involvement. What happens is a cutscene afterwards where Callus shows up, and he starts to murk everyone. And the idea is that our Guardian tries to fight back, but Callus, using his disciple powers, actually overpowers us because we can't control them. So what happens next is Rohan almost gets killed by Callus, but Nimbus comes in to swoop in, and Nimbus instead dies instead of Rohan. This would make the story much more dark, because what would happen is two things. One, Nimbus is an interesting character in the sense that they are meant to be a beacon of hope. You can tell because of the way they're written. They're meant to be like a relief character. They're meant to be witty. They're meant to be very lighthearted, not really serious. So the moment you know Nimbus dies, you know shit is serious. And I feel like doing that, instead of killing off Rohan, would have done a lot more. Especially when you consider, again, the context of the Cloud Striders. Because the idea is that now with Nimbus dead, Rohan doesn't have a successor. He has to grapple with his own mortality, realizing that he doesn't have any much longer left to live, and he has to make whatever left of this war, he has to make whatever is left of this war count. His last moments, basically. And there can be many ways about how his character arc could end. I think it could be something along the lines of him putting his faith in the Guardians to basically protect Neomuna even after he's dead. Which I think would be pretty cathartic for him. But anyways, so I don't know, if anyone who sees this or whatever is going to agree with, this particular take about, Lightfall's story. I think it would be a pretty cool rewrite, because it wouldn't change too much about the story, but it would change enough to make the story feel dramatic and much more, dark. Well, not really dark, but, dark enough to where you can at least take it seriously, right? Because I think that was kind of an issue, is that there was a lot of, the tonal whiplash was all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much, my main point with the story for, rewrites is the final shape should be established so that way we understand like what the stakes are. We don't need to understand the witness's motivations. We don't need to understand like what the veil is to an extent. We just need to know, hey, the veil, if it connects with the traveler, is most likely going to cause the final shape, which could basically mean the end of the universe right then and there. So if that happened, and then what I said earlier with Callus killing Nimbus, and Rohan has to grapple with it for his character arc, I think that would make for a much more interesting tonal shift in the latter half of Lightfall's campaign, which would have segued perfectly into the final mission where we kill Callus. I know there's probably some other stuff I can mention, like how the whole final scene is handled with how the actual leaking with the veil does happen. But I feel like I'm rambling on too much about that. So all I'm gonna say is, if there is one thing I do want to mention before I move on to anything else, it's that I don't. I know some people have mentioned this before. I actually don't think Kaido needs to be the one to kill Callus because I know some people mention that sometimes, and that's because if you look into her lore and storytelling, she already got her comeuppances against Callus, like even before she was introduced as a character by usurping his throne, basically. Everything she does within the campaign is basically like trying to clean up the mess, pretty much. So, that's like a whole other thing. But yeah. Long story short, I know this is really, really long because I wanted to get this out there. But Lightfall's story has a lot of issues. Now, gameplay wise, I think it's honestly not that bad. And it's still very, very good by today's standards. I would say it should actually I think it belongs somewhere in C tier. I don't think it belongs anywhere higher than that. Because the story was that bad.
Yeah.
Now, where in C tier, I'm not sure. I think probably.
I say for hot for me personally, but behind Risen.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing actually.
Yeah, because see, I was gonna say this. Like I'd like to sum up Lightfall in one sentence. Osiris, go to the Veil. Guardians, what is the Veil? Osiris, I do not care. Go to the Veil. Okay, but what is the Veil? Why are you asking? Just go to the Veil. Like we didn't learn anything about the Veil, and throughout the whole story was literally all about the Veil. If we would just learn what the Veil is, like either in season of the Seraph or in the beginning of Lightfall, that would have been fine with me. But the fact that we learned it after, no. And like I said, Nimbus is supposed to be like the funny character and all that. I like to think of him as like a downgraded Cade, for me personally. Um, yeah, and like I always find it funny how after defeating Callus, he tries to fist bump Kaido. Be like, yeah, great job. Like you fist bumping
Yo,
Callus's
hold on.
daughter.
Here, yo, fucking Rimuru, you should check with Ron. I know this is like unrelated, but you should
Okay.
check in the. He said, "Y'all solving world hunger with that tier list. Let's go."
Yo, yeah, but yeah, I definitely think Lightfall definitely deserves way better. Now on to the I guess the last 4 seasons before the
Yep.
episodes.
And if we
Season.
wanted to, if we wanted to like add in Into the Light somehow, we could also discuss that too.
Let's put the final shape as like a placement for Into the Light, since final shape
Yeah,
isn't
I
out
agree.
yet. Alright,
I mean, let's be real right now. Let's get it out of the way. I think we know the final shape will definitely be S tier. Cough. Anyways,
yeah.
um,
Season of Defiance. Ooh,
I mean, let's put it like this. It kind of has to be S tier. So like, if it doesn't, we're fucked. Like,
yeah, I mean, it'll be S tier. It's literally ending the whole saga.
right.
So
Anyways,
yeah, Season of
but
Defiance. I hate to say this. I kind of think it's on the same tier as the other seasons that came out with the DLC. for me,
Uh,
it was
in a C, right?
yeah, because it
Okay,
was
yeah, it's understandable.
good, but since it came out with the DLC, it's lackluster. Because like
Here's my placement. I would put it I would put it like above Hunt or behind Hunt, and the reason why is because what I what I liked about Season of Defiance was that they did try to do something with Amanda's character, and also let's put this into perspective. I think there is some sentiment to consider with the fact that like this is the season, or at least the time period during the season where like Lance did pass away. So like there's something to consider there as well. RIP Lance, by the way. Anyways,
yeah, that's just
but
so
yeah, so
sad.
that's probably another consideration as well. But honestly, I think in retrospect, I'm not too crazy about Season of Defiance. It's kind of the same thing with Season of the Hunt, where like it's alright, I guess. The only good thing about it was maybe like Amanda. And the problem that I had with Amanda is I feel like more could have been done with her character and fleshing her out before she was killed. Like, if they had like one extra season of a cutscene with a backstory, maybe we like learn how hard it was for her during the Dark Ages to see people suffer, like something like that. I think it would have made her sacrifice feel so meaningful, and it would have done so much. But it's just on the cusp of mediocrity, and I hate it. But yeah, like honestly, it's just painfully mid. Like it's not, in my opinion, it's not even really that bad. It's just mid, and that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, like
It's no,
go on.
I was just gonna say, I think putting it like around where Season of the Hunt is fine. Like between that and Lightfall, because at least with Lightfall, it had entertaining elements like Strain and all that. So like you could at least find some positives here and there. But with Season of Defiance, you don't really have that.
Yeah, yeah, like see, I was gonna say yeah, like Amanda's death was very sad, but Lance's death for me was even sadder. And what was
Not my
even
point.
yeah, yeah, no, what was even more emotional was that like I'm pretty sure one of his last lines, like before he died, was that speech like he was giving to Amanda at her grave. Or and oh my god, that was
Dude, like seeing for me, it's just it goes back to Zavala. Like it's just the context of like how he just keeps losing everyone around him, from like Sophia and Hakeem to Cade,
yeah, now
and then
Holiday.
Amanda. And I think Amanda was just finally the camel, the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like and like I said, like if we're talking about like real world, I still remember the day Lance died. Like like I know for a fact that we haven't been talking about like deaths all that much, but since the fact that Lance was here since Destiny 1, we have to mention it. Because I remember this. I was in the break room because I was on break, and I kept on seeing news about Lance's death, and I was kind of tearing up in the break room. Oh my god, so
Yo,
sad.
actually, quick theory. Here I have a theory. I actually don't think Zavala's going to die in final shape. I think
Really?
he's going to retire from the Titan Vanguard.
Honestly, I was thinking that because it'd be really like cool if we got maybe like a whole new set of Vanguard, because since like oh because like there's a theory like also like Ikora might retire or even die, and obviously since we have Saint 14 and Osiris back, and maybe even
Yep.
Crow, that
I
could
think I don't. Here's what I think. I don't think Osiris will take the position. I think Akora will say the same. I think Crow will take Hunter Vanguard, and I think either Saint or Mishax, probably Saint, is going to take up Titan Vanguard, because I could see Saint having like a more important role in like future seasons.
listen, like let's see. I don't know if you remember this very recently. I forget what it was, but I remember Saint and Osiris was actually talking about this, and that
Yes, they
and
were in the final voice message for the season. They were talking about like while the current Vanguard is away, they'll watch the city in their stead, basically.
yeah, yeah, and so I just think because of that they might honestly, if you know, and they come back and they would if Ikora and Zavala somehow retire, especially with Zavala, because I definitely think he's either gonna retire or die. I definitely think Osiris and Saint are gonna take those spots, and then
All
with
right.
Crow, yeah,
Okay.
I was like, and then with Crow, um, let's see, like since there was like a lore thing with like the whole like hunter like Vanguard Dale, if you like if you killed a hunter Vanguard, you have to take the hunter's Vanguard spot. Since technically speaking, Crow did kill Cade, he should technically be the new Vanguard. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But alright, let's move on. Season of the Deep. This season was okay
Season
for
of the
me.
Deep.
I liked it.
Let me think about this one. So, Season of the Deep. Okay. Can we go back up the tier list real quick?
Yeah.
So, Season of the Deep. Here's the thing about Season of the Deep. I think this is a very interesting placement because I think the main activity salvage wasn't that crazy, but the deep dives were really fun because this was like real. This was when Bungie was really trying to innovate, like new ideas for the activities that the game could push for. That's when they started like taking inspiration from like roguelikes and stuff. And I think they've hit the nail on the head because literally everything that happened afterwards, like the coil and the wish and everything, is the culmination of what Season of the Deep tried to do. And I think they did an amazing job. So like personally, I actually really love Season of the Deep. And also there's also another intrinsic cool fact about like how introduced fishing and like the idea that you can swim finally, even though technically you're not swimming,
Yeah,
or like you're fucking just floating, just floating and sinking with very weird bad physics because it's really hard to do underwater mechanics in a video game. Anyways, I'm gonna drown myself. Right. So, Season of the Deep. I feel like gameplay wise, I think it's pretty good. Like it's not like I feel like it's really hard to justify with like the main activity, but I feel like it makes up for that with the way deep dives work, and also fishing just being fun. So, like I think because of those two in particular, it's high for me. But I think what really elevates it for me is obviously the lore reveal.
yeah,
This is when we learn the origins of the witness, and it's all laid out to us, like the veil, why it's important, why what the witness is trying to accomplish. This is when all the cards are laid out on the table, and just because of that, it automatically is above C tier and Lightfall for me.
yeah, yeah. Like,
So
if I don't mind stepping in for a second to talk about the lore for me, like I do love the fact that that the ending cutscene they tease that Savathun knows like is the only one that knows how to enter the Traveler,
yep,
and the whole like reveal of Savathun coming back was extremely hype for me. Cause like I said,
oh
your boy likes Savathun, so and
yeah,
yeah, that was
I mean
really cool.
17 is the base antagonist.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, so like for me, like it's regarding the witness. I think oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. I mentioned this to Dark and Soul, and they didn't know what I was talking about, but I know you will. But I still find it funny how like the witness is basically just Destiny's version of the anti-spiral from Gurren Lagann.
Oh wait,
To put into context, in Gurren Lagann, the main antagonist is the anti-spiral. Basically, it's an entire race that merged themselves into one being because they decided, oh, the spiral is bad,
What the?
and then they decided to do the anti-spiral method instead.
What
And
that?
that's
That is the
that's
witness.
literally
Wait.
what the witness.
What?
It's like
I'm being truthful. I never watched that anime, but I know what the anti spiral is. I did not know that
yep.
though. Wow.
Oh yeah, no, it's so fucking hilarious because it's literally 1-to-1 with what the fucking witness and its motivations are. It's so wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but anyway, going back to the thing. Okay, so for me personally, I'll put season as deep at A tier, but there's one main thing that we have to talk about that happened in this season that for me drops it down to B tier. Is is the community during this time? Because I don't know if you remember,
Ooh.
the community was, in my opinion, probably as low as Curse of Osiris. Because there
Oh
was
yeah, no, it was
like,
because it was during this time period that people were so mad and disappointed from Lightfall's reception that they were just so bitter, and it's really sad too in retrospect because like yeah they messed up, but like they did try, but they just clear that it was an intentional decision. It's like they did at least eventually explain to us like yeah this is what the stakes are, but like it's just really unfortunate.
yeah,
Um,
and we also have to like talk about the layoffs that happened because I'm pretty sure that happened this season. Like this
yeah.
was,
Wait, I thought that was Season of the
I
Witch.
I know it happened either season of Deep or Witch. I don't remember which one. I thought it happened
I think I know it was Witch
was
because
it?
that's when I stopped playing the game to like advocate for all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. But yeah, and then it was still like the whole like state of the game article that was so like controversial. Just because of all that, like I said, like if we're talking about pure activity and lore, for me it's A tier, but including all the community and all that, I had to bump it down to B tier, just because of that.
Um, so I forget. Was this the season that did the crafting?
That was season of the witch too.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Personally, I would say even despite the community stuff, I honestly want. I would say yeah, put in B tier. The question is like, where in B tier though? Because like, there's a lot of option slots here.
So
I think
let's put it right here right now.
yeah,
But
definitely not bottom. Definitely not bottom
yeah,
of
yeah,
B
I was
tier.
just
Wait,
leaving it
what?
right there right now. But let's
Oh,
see.
okay.
I was thinking. Let's see. Yeah, let's do it one at a time. Do we think it's better than Dark Below? I think it is.
100% it is.
Let's see. Is it better than Beyond Light? That's
um,
for me personally.
I honestly, I would say yeah, because like while Beyond Light does do a lot of good stuff, I just think Beyond Light's just so painfully mid in a lot of ways that's really hard to justify it.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's see. This is I personally this is personally what I'm gonna saw because I like Haunted more. For me personally.
yeah, actually, no, that's a perfect slot because that's like the perfect slot for the two of them because they're both not really like known for like the necessary the gameplay, but more so for like having really good narrative standout, like narrative pillars. Like for Season of the Haunted, it was the character development, and then for Season of the Deep, it was the lore reveals. So, like I think that's a good spot.
Yeah. And then like also to end this off, I'm just saying the whole we also forgot to talk about the dungeon and the Alma set as well. The dungeon,
Ghosts of the Deep. Oh, dude, fucking
but
that dungeon
I,
pissed me off day
I
one.
hate I hate that dungeon to be honest.
And
Like okay, here's
you
the
see,
thing.
the funny is,
Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, like in retrospect, I think it's a fine dungeon. I think it's fun, like when you get used to it. But like it's, you do there's definitely a learning curve. Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, you see, like here's the thing. If they just nerf the health of the bosses, I think it'll be a lot better, especially for the solo experience. but like I don't want to 20 minutes in underwater. That's I mean that might be okay with some people, but I know for me, I don't want to be underwater that long.
You see, Ramiro, you have to understand. You just simply have to hold your breath longer. I know what
You're
you mean.
right. You're right. My bad. But no,
Like, what do you mean to tell me? You fucking drown? Are you fucking loser, really?
yeah, I drowned. I'm sorry, but
Would you
no.
would you survive in the deep? I drown.
When
Wait, that's actually such a perfect fucking statement. Would you live in the deep? Nah, I drown.
while talking about season, yeah, okay, but
Wait, no, fucking. Would you drown in the deep? Nah, I'd rise.
oh my god, oh my god, that's awesome. What a I risen.
No, it's just the nah I'd win, but it's this fucking rock.
Oh my god, the bended.
The upended.
You do not
Oh my
deserve.
god. Alright,
All right,
we're getting no fucking crap.
but yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
okay.
the one more thing I would like to talk about, like I said, is the armor set. They kicked it out of the water with it, like both the dungeon armor and the seasonal. Oh my god, some of the best armor.
Yeah, they did really good.
But anyway, okay, season of the witch.
Okay, Season of the Witch. I feel like Season of the Witch kind of has the same problem that Season of the Splicer has, which is they're both very great seasons, actually, in retrospect.
Yeah.
I personally was a little bit bored with it, but that's mainly because it was just mainly character development for Eris. But like it's like unless you
Ayot,
care about that, huh?
Ayot,
Ayot. Yeah,
Ayot.
yeah. Like unless you care about that, then like it's gonna be a pretty boring season. But like personally I like Eris, so like it's whatever. But for me, it suffers the same issue as Season of the Splicer because in Season of the Splicer, it has like a very significant lore element that you feel like should be in like an expansion, and then they just include it in a season. Like the Season of the Splicer, it was the fight with Curia, and here it is probably one of the most important lore-defining moments in the entire fucking game. And I don't think anything else will ever compare until maybe the fight with the Witness. And it's that for the first time ever, we have a character that is so abnormally fucking powerful that they can shut down a hive god from their fucking throne world.
Yeah.
Like, that is the most mind-blowing shit that I'm surprised nobody ever talks about, because that is like the most insane feat I've ever seen in the entire series.
Yeah, like that is insane. And we're also talking about like Eris and all that. Let's see, one of my favorite like lore bits and all that was that in the Axel Strangers lore, Eris Morn and her future turned evil and all that, and that was kind of starting to take place a little bit with Eris becoming part Hive. I genuinely thought that she was gonna turn evil. So
So,
I find that really interesting. Sorry.
so for me personally, um, I was wishy-washy on what was going to happen with her, but I was leaning towards her being fine, and the reason why is because I knew that they couldn't 100% follow the Dark Future route, and the reason why is because if they did, it would be very redundant because we already know what happens. Like they literally spell it out for us in the lore book. Like Eris turns evil, we get bombarded by a bunch of forces, and the darkness, or basically the witness. The witness wins, and like everything gets fucked. Anna turns evil as well.
Yeah.
Like Mara fucking dies. Zavala sacrifices himself. Like it's a whole shit show basically. But like the problem with the Eris turning evil is like, yeah, it would be cool, but like, what would it really serve? Like, the whole point of Eris's character throughout the entire arc from Shadowkeep to then in Season of the Witch is that it follows her journey about how she's turning out different from her Dark Future timeline counterpart.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point is that in that counterpart, she didn't really have the support of the people around her to, like, keep her grounded when she's doing this kind of shit. So it's the fact that people like Ikora still trust her but still remain wary shows that she has that level of support. And because of that, she has the capacity to be able to pull off shit like this and still retain who she is. So for me, it was extremely cathartic and probably the best possible ending for her character altogether. To finally have her like ace down the whole Hive God hierarchy and say, I am above you, and then do probably one of the most baller fucking
Yeah.
lore moves we have ever seen in the entire
Oh my.
fucking franchise.
Oh.
Which is just so epic.
But no, I love the fact that you know, Samuel Funny got like was elected. She comes face to face with Eris, and Eris is like, "Nah, I'll win." And she kills
Yeah,
Samuel.
literally.
Yeah, like that.
It's just like, oh, sorry, what?
That was a really good cutscene because then afterwards Eris became like all powerful, and we're like, "Ah, shit, here we go again."
And then we realized, oh shit, she's using it not to actually cause war or anything. She's doing it to shut down Zevor power.
Which
That
is
is like,
nice,
wow.
which is amazing. And then it just blows my mind that how in that moment Eris became more powerful than Oryx was. Like that is just nuts to me.
So, I think the best part about all this is that maybe it's just me, but I feel like this is the perfect resolution for her arc
Yeah,
because after all the suffering she endured from the Hive, after having to crawl from the Hellmouth, after everything she endured from Crota to Oryx to Savathun, for all the Osmium family, after everything she had to do from all of them, she finally got her fucking revenge, basically.
yeah,
Even if it wasn't exactly the same way that we probably thought it would be.
yeah. Like
So,
and then like I said as well, you know, we also got the whole Ayat thing.
Hayat!
Ayat,
Hayat!
Ayat.
Hayat!
Yeah,
God, that's so fucking awesome.
yeah, and then also one of the most craziest weekends in Destiny history with the crafting.
Oh my god. Okay, let me see. Okay, so before we talk about the crafting, can we at least figure out a placement for Season of the Witch? I think
Uh,
it's honestly, I think Season of the Witch is like A tier somewhere.
yeah, I think it's A or B. If I had to put an A, I think I'll put I think I'll put it like this. I think because I did enjoy sales more though.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's pretty good. Honestly, my only thing with Season of the Witch is that I feel like the weekly slog to like get through like the major story beats
Oh yeah,
was pretty boring. So I feel like that kind of knocks it down a peg for me personally. But I mean, other than that though, like it's pretty fun. Altars of Starwood was amazing. Southern Spire was awesome. Like it was a really great
yeah,
season. So like I can't really say anything else.
and we also need to talk about Koda as well coming back and kicking everyone's asses.
Oh right. Yeah, so this was like when Crota came back and like he actually
Wasn't a
like
dungeon boss.
right.
Yeah, like yeah. So
It was oh,
it was not it was not a fun experience.
oh yeah, no, it wasn't.
But anyway, the crafting. Oh my god! Like, how do you confine that?
Like honestly, so anything about honestly, I don't even know like what kind of thoughts or opinions I could share about the crafting because like I didn't really participate in it, but I've seen the clips. Like
Yeah,
I've seen everything, and it's like
I'm the exact
all I can
same.
say. All I can say is that was probably like the most goofy fucking shit I've ever seen
Look,
in this
but
fucking game.
the only thing that could compare to me was laser tag weekend doing cause of Osiris. That was the
Oh nah, dude, fucking
but
Lord of Wolves,
oh my god. Yeah, no, like I'm sorry, but
Lord of
it's
Wolves.
just so funny that you can shoot like rockets out of like a pulse rifle or something like that. Like, and it was so broken that it was kind of like satisfying to watch at times. Even even though like even though we didn't do it, it was fun to watch. And like I did play during that time, so I did get the emblem for it. But yeah, like that was one of the craziest weeks in Destiny.
Yeah, it's just oh my god.
Okay, two more to go. The last season, season of the wish.
So let's get one thing out of the way. This season is already based because they finally explained the 15th wish, and we're never gonna have something
Oh,
like that
you're
again.
right.
It's already very.
All right. Anyway,
Okay. So now, Season of the Wish. I think this is a really great season. Kind of like Season of the Witch, its main focus was really character development.
yeah.
I actually had more enjoyment factor in this season than Season of the Witch personally. So
Honestly, yeah.
if I were to go ahead and get a placement for it down like right away, I would put it like literally between Seraph and Witch. And so for me, the thing about Season of the Wish is that what I really love about it is honestly exploration of the Ahamkara, because I feel like not a lot of people were expecting this season to actually focus like an exploration of the Ahamkara and like what they really were like back in the day, because we never really see them, right? Like we get Riven from Forsaken, we get like little hints and pieces about like the Great Hunt here and there.
Yeah.
We never really see what they were like until like the Exotic Mission came out and we got like the cutscenes with like Tyrannus and all that. It really got to fully understand like what the Ahamkara truly were. And honestly, they're fucking awesome. Like they're really cool. Like they're up there with like the Hive Gods and the Worm Gods and the Disciples of the Witness, and the Witness is like my favorite like paracausal beings in the story now. So like I think they did a really good job fleshing out the Ahamkara.
Oh
Um
yeah.
Now besides that though, I think the big narrative thing that I really enjoyed from this season is the exploration of Pro and Mara's relationship and how they truly like have changed and evolved since like literally their Destiny 1 counterparts. So
Yeah.
like it's just really nice character development. Like there's really nothing else really to say about that. It's just really nice character development from them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess besides that though, I also like the little ending mission where we fucking fight the Black Heart again, and we learn that the Black Heart is a failed copy of the Veil, which I find funny, but
Yeah.
whatever. Um, yeah, I personally think between Witch and Seraph is a very good placement.
Honestly, yeah. Because for me personally, um, season of the wish is probably one of the best seasons to end the seasons with. Because it like everything was good for me. Like it was either average or above average. Because like the loot was probably some of the best seasonal loot we have ever gotten. There was so many good weapons came from this season. Um, let's see, let's see, the armor sets. I'll admit, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a big fan of the armor sets. For me personally,
You don't like Riven Helmet Titan?
no, I actually don't. Surprisingly, I, I, I I tried many times to try and use it in my fashion. Did not work. But yeah, like the lore, I love the fact I mean, I wasn't expecting a love story between Riven and Tyrannix, but I mean, hey, it's Destiny. Uh,
It's Destiny. We're talking about a season about pirates at one point. It's gonna happen.
yeah. I mean, we don't talk about we don't talk about that season anymore. But yeah, no, but yeah, like, but yeah, in the seasonal activities as well, the coil, one of the best seasonal activities. They did it a long time. Like it was fun. It was it was challenging in the last couple of ones. Um, let's see, trying to think. Oh yeah, there was also the dungeon as well, Warlord Rune, which was really cool because it reminded me of
I love
Elden
Warlords.
Ring in a way, with the castle
Yep.
and the fact that uh, even though the loot was mediocre besides the sidearm and well the sidearms, it was a really fun dungeon. But yeah, overall, I'm glad this is the last season. I have no complaints about it, but I think it's time for one more thing. Well, we're gonna place this as Into the Light, since kind of
Yeah.
have Into the
I mean,
Light.
we already said it. We already said it. But final shape is clearly going to be S tier because it has to be.
Oh,
But whatever.
yeah. Wait, hold on. Let me just do this real quick. This. Put this back. Put it right there right now. Let me just make it here. Oh, what did I do?
Oh, you did a dumb fuck. What are
There
you
you go.
doing?
Ah, it's fine. I was gonna put the file shape above S, but no. Okay, but yeah, Into the Light. Honestly,
Yeah. So into the light. I think personally, I think it's S tier. But let me explain why. So similar to like what we're having in Lightfall. There's a point in Destiny's history where there's obviously low times. Like for Forsaken, it was Destiny 2 Year 1. For Taken King, it was Destiny 1. For Witch Queen, it was kind of just the mediocrity of Shadowkeep and Beyond Light. And now, here, in Lightfall, we needed something like Final Shape, and we also needed something like Into the Light. Into the Light, in my opinion, was probably the best move that Bungie could have done. Because basically what happened was, after everything that happened, from like the community sentiment being really down low, to like literally just Lightfall's bad reception, like that was, in my opinion, one of the most important wake-up calls from Bungie to realize, okay, the best thing we can do right now is just listen to our community for once and just give them what they want. And that's literally what this is.
yeah,
We
and
got weapons we wanted from ages ago. Weapons that represent like past Guardian accomplishments and memes and shit. We have fucking exotic missions that came back. We have new challenges, Legend Onslaught, fucking Pantheon. Pantheon was probably one of my favorite activities. Absolutely love the fuck out of Pantheon. Even if they beat my ass millions of times.
yeah,
Now, let me see. So there's Pantheon, exotic missions. The loot was great. You can also craft the exotics, which I thought was also really nice. I already have a crafted Whisper and Outbreak, and they're fucking awesome now. I feel so comfortable with them. And, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's pretty much it. Like, it's just, they just simply gave us what we wanted as, like, a breather in between everything from Season of the Wish up until now.
yeah.
So, what do you think?
I see. First off, I like to say this is actually how we met to Pantheon. So that was really cool.
Right.
Yeah. Like I love the fact that Bungie is like, all right, hey, we're just gonna bring back iconic weapons and a hung joy, and even though we didn't need a 15th hung joy, don't be wrong, love the gun.
You see, clearly, we just need to understand. Hung jury is what's going to kill the witness.
You're
Trust me.
right. You're right. And what's crazy is that there's some of the weapons, like you said, the meme weapons, Edge Transit is now meta and all that. And like I said,
Which I still find fucking wild.
I'm not gonna lie, for a while before Pantheon came out, I actually used Mountaintop Anarchy and Recluse again, just for like nostalgia's sake. Oh my, it was so
Yo,
fun.
how effective was it?
It was actually it was effective actually. Like I was like,
Oh,
it was it was really good. Because you stuck with Anarchy. I was shooting the mountaintop and then restick with Anarchy, and that just kept on doing the damage. But yeah, like, but
yeah,
yeah,
because honestly, this is just my opinion regarding Anarchy. I honestly think it didn't need to receive a damage nerf. I think what they just needed to change with Anarchy back in the day was make it so that when you apply to the boss, the tick damage only applies to one player, the same way it does with Wither Horde. So that means only one person can use Anarchy combos, basically.
yeah, yeah. That would
Really
have
need
been
to win
fine
and
with
nerf
me.
it.
But yeah, but yeah, Onslaught. Obviously, it's a mode everyone wanted and everyone loves. I love the shiny hunting aspect of it because I love Pokemon. So really cool to hunt for shinies. And then and then
Gotta catch them all.
and then in my opinion, obviously the best part of it, like the Pantheon, like a fucking raid gauntlet. That is so cool. And
Yeah.
it was really challenging. Like I know obviously for us probably the most difficult ones we will have troubles with is what, maybe Nezzy and planets maybe.
Yeah, it was for us it was Nezzy planets and I think we're trying to get plat, it was Atrax. Surprisingly, it was actually very, very fucking easy when you literally just have to be patient enough to learn her mechanics.
Yeah, like it was like, yeah, doing movement legit was awesome, and I love the fact they forced us to. Nezzy
And this
is
dude, I'm gonna be honest.
They made Nezzy's AI horrible in Pantheon. Let's just both agree on that. Um, let's see, like Golgoroth was fine, Caretaker was fine, Planet was horrible. I never had a problem with Atrax personally. Oryx, obviously, Whisper was the meta during that, so really easy. Walk was probably one of the hardest too, just mainly due to the second walk, I think. Let's see, and then also you have Riven and Nezzy. But yeah, overall, I do think it's either high A or low S.
For Into the Light, yeah. Um, yeah, I think low S is fine because, like I said, I think that tier alone is specifically reserved for the expansions that pretty much revive Destiny in a way that's major. Whether it be like breathing life into the game with new content or innovating the game in a way that was surprising or refreshing and bold. Like Witch Queen was a good example of that. Into the Light was just giving players what they wanted, so it's that's nice. Like it's just simply reviving the game
Yeah,
in some way, shape, or form, basically. And honestly, I think looking at this tier list now, I think this is a very, very solid lineup.
honestly,
Like you have the S tiers reserved for like the best of the best, like the expansions that basically saved the game.
yeah.
And the tier below that, you have the expansions and seasons that are mainly for like basically really, really just great seasons and expansions that like on their own are just really good in general, but they just weren't really revolutionary. But that doesn't mean they're bad. And then the B tier is like, you know, these seasons and expansions they're good or mid in some ways. They're just not great basically. And then C is where we really start to have issues. D is like what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
And then Season of the Worthy, we don't even talk about.
yeah.
Anyways,
But yeah, okay, this is our tier list, guys. I know for a fact this is gonna be a very long video, but I won't be offended if you guys skip to the end. But I highly
yep.
recommend just going back, watching and listening to our takes during this. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with this list, honestly. We did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. This was really good tier list.
All right, guys. Until next time. See ya.
Breathing underwater. Can't let you go now. Making it so hard. You got to know now. Ooh.